Just received in our newspaper.
Yeah, I took some right before we drove over here.
Oh shit, eh?
Yeah.
Keeping it healthy, keeping it good,
feeling
being
nice
mellow.
and comfy, bro. You know?
Dude, they hit you different, dog. They hit you like. Are you new to them? Like, did you just start taking edibles?
No, I've taken edibles for quite some time now.
Oh, how long?
For about 4 years now, maybe.
4 years, yeah, that's about right. I started getting heavy into them after, actually, as the pandemic started. So I was just like, all right, I need something to do with, being inside, of course. And I was like, what better way than to, be like fucked up and playing Call of Duty? Like that was like the only thing I was actively doing at that time. But I was like, I got these Oreo cookies from this guy. And
Edible Oreo cookies?
Edible Oreo cookies. And now let me tell you one thing. They looked exactly like a fucking Oreo and they tasted even better. Fuck, they tasted so good. They didn't have like that, that fucking
weed
aftertaste. Like
yeah.
you taste that fucking like, oh damn, that's THC,
nasty.
that
Yeah.
milligram in there. Damn shit. Yeah. So I'm fucking I put them in a big ass bag and I take one and they're each 250 each in an Oreo, which is hey, like
dangerous game.
Hey, man. Well, I'll tell you how dangerous it was because I ended up forgetting that they were edible Oreos. So I ate one and then not even like I was watching something and I'm like looking at the TV or whatever and I'm probably watching a documentary. I was so invested, fucking just ding, and then I was like, I ate that's 500. I'm off 500 now. And let me tell you, that was an early night. That one, I slept for like a fucking good 12 hours, dude.
Oh, bro, that's a knockout.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Especially
dude.
unexpected. Like you realize after, it's like, all right.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's nothing you can do.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, once you're committed to that point where you're like, I guess this is how we're going to deal with this Friday like this. Like, you're on 500, you took it. Like, I didn't feel right the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like one of those days.
Dude, it's a commitment. Once you're in it, there's no going back.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like that's anything like very psychoactive. Like from my understanding of edible marijuana is that it's actually a different compound. It's a different chemical compound. So the way it interacts with your mind is completely different. It's much more like psychedelic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, back when I was actually just taking psychedelics more frequently, when I took edibles, it would bring me into the psychedelic mind state. Like I would see very like beautiful, intricate, translucent patterns on the walls. Everything would be breathing, and if I closed my eyes, I could like fall back into affinity.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
dude.
You know what? I think I've heard someone else say that same thing where it's like they were trying to get off doing magic mushrooms all the time and they started taking edibles. They're like, why is this worse for me?
Because like sometimes they get you. Like, I don't know. Have you guys ever like taken some where you don't feel right the next day? Where it's like, that was a little too much. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to keep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I get a headache after, bro. Like,
Oh, really?
Almost like a hangover. Yeah. If I get crazy with it. I used to take those like THC pills.
Oh,
like 100
damn.
milligram ones. And those things would mess you up. If you took a few of them, the next day you'd just have a crazy headache. You'd be almost hungover,
Yeah. Well, sometimes I feel like that. Like if I go really high up, like for me to go like 250 now, it's like, fuck, I got to do some shit the next day. You know what I mean? I'm an adult now. Like I got shit. Like
Responsibilities.
You know what I mean? I got to go talk to people in the middle of the day now. So I can't just be like, fuck, I can't do that. I couldn't imagine even like you doing it with your work. Like in the sense of, I couldn't imagine like being like all drained and like going to work and being like, oh, I need a fucking like, because you need to be like a talkative guy, like in a sense.
Well, yeah, bro. I'm like an environment creator. That's kind of what I do. Like
dude.
not only am I
like that.
yeah,
that's badass.
Yeah. Well, not only am I like, tattooing someone's skin, marking them permanently, like I'm bringing them into my space. I'm trying to make them feel comfortable. It's definitely, it's pretty awesome. Right? But like you said, like that's not something I can do when I'm in a less than optimal state.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not why I don't overwork myself, bro. Like every time I'm doing my job, I'm going in and I'm doing it because I want to do it, and I feel great when I'm gonna do it. But if I feel less than optimal, I won't go because I got to bring my best self forward before I like put people in that space with me.
Especially talking to people, right?
Yeah, well, and I feel like especially when you're tattooing someone. Everyone kind of brings out their like deeper the deeper conversations come out much quicker. You know, I feel like you guys are probably used to it in being a host for a podcast is like, eventually when you break down like the small talk, things get serious.
Yeah.
That's how it is in pretty much all of my conversations. Because everyone just kind of like after a while of getting stabbed.
Yeah. Well, dude, you're
You hurt
tattooing
someone
them for like
enough.
hours or whatever, and like, yeah, it probably would, especially because like, you know, you could be pretty close to somebody. Like, I mean, you are like your arms like on them,
Bro, I'm
and you're
literally
like,
touching them.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
You're just holding on to him for a while.
Yeah.
Especially if like they like, you know, it's someone especially like brand new, like you've never met them before. It's not like it's not like a friend coming in. It's like this is a brand new person. I wonder if that's like, what is that like in the sense, because if you're meeting everyone every day, you got to be a pretty decent conversationalist, right?
Yeah, so you got to be able to talk and you got to make people feel comfortable. I feel like people have this idea that when they go into a tattoo shop, it's going to be dark and they're going to hear grunge metal, you know, like, but I feel like when people walk in to where I work, you know, they experience a very like lighthearted, friendly vibe, and I'm part of that. You know, like we have got lots of good artists where I work. Shout out to Inked Up, great shop, but like everyone there is like really, really friendly, and the atmosphere there when people come in, it makes them feel like they've made the right decision. You know, like they're not walking into something that they're gonna regret afterwards. You know, it's a comfortable experience. But like how I extend that into myself is that, you know, I just try to get through that small talk as quick as possible, oftentimes, and like to hear what these people are about. You know, what they've been through, whatever their story is. Like, I try to pull that out of people because that's what people want to talk about. Like, I believe it's a spiritual experience to get tattooed a lot of the times. You know, it's a lot of people will claim like it's therapy for them, and you know, I'm like a armchair psychologist kind of like, you know, I have to listen to people, and sometimes I'll give my advice. I've learned over time to like kind of know my boundaries, because you can overextend yourself when you're dealing with like multiple people in the day, right? So I do my best to stay away from that. But overall, like I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's kind of what I've noticed recently. It's a lot of like environment creating. It's a lot of like making being social and talking with people. Like the art is just like becomes second nature now. A lot of times when I'm tattooing, I'm more focused on the conversation than I am on the tattoo, because I can just trust my body to do what it knows to do.
Yeah, especially because like you've been doing it like a decent amount of time now, and I would assume like you just learned to like make these people comfortable and keep going. But you were saying like how people have that where they're nervous about coming in, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you think that's like through movies? Because have you ever looked at movies like Hollywood, and it's just like, it's like the same thing with like guns. Like, why are people obsessed with guns? Like Hollywood, like people will be like, don't use guns, but it's like John Wick's great. Like, you know what I mean? Like fucking, like you see that guy, what he's doing out there? It's like violence is like promoted from these people. I'm just saying with the tattoo thing in Hollywood, like that's what it is. Like you walk in, it's some tatted up motherfucker, like from head to toe.
Yeah.
And he's
giant
like,
spacers.
Giant spacers. He's like supposed to be like they're I don't know why every tattoo artist in every movie is like supposed to just have a still face, like just fucking no emotion at all in like the thing you enjoy doing. Yeah. So it's like I think that's just through like Hollywood making.
Well,
yeah, I mean like
sorry, you got to think of like the stigma that tattoos used to have for a long time.
Yeah. I guess
So
that's
obviously
true.
you're talking about the positive aspects that are modern tattooing, but it used to be like that's just kind of how people thought it was. That's they were afraid of it, and they wanted other people to be afraid of it.
I mean, and for a long time, that's kind of how it was. It's like if you got a tattoo, you were like a sailor, you were part of the military, or you in other parts of the world, you were a gangster. You know, you were like the Japanese. What's that gang?
The Yakuza.
Yes, and that was like if you had tattoos in the early, 30s, 40s, 50s, that kind of time, you were a gangster. Yeah,
Dude. Yeah. I like. Fucking Tupac at the Thug Life had it. I love that. I like the Mike Tyson. Like Mike Tyson just pretty much. I know he has a couple other tattoos, but I like his like just the face one. Like that's the only dude I know that could like rock the face tat like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially because like you're not telling Mike Tyson no. You know what I mean?
You're not gonna tell him his face tat looks stupid.
Yeah.
No, it just looks even scarier with it.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. Can I ask you like a question? Like because I've been hearing like this on the internet. So like people are talking about how. I personally obviously don't give a shit, like in the sense of I don't care what people want tatted on them, but like people are saying like it's weird that kids now will get like their hands tatted and their neck tatted and their face tatted before like they get like any like I don't know what the typical one would be. I don't know a beginner tattoo obviously,
Right, yeah.
but I'm saying like something that you could cover up and like so people are saying like that's I forget like if they're like they don't like that, like it's like you should get ink that you can cover up first and then do that. But is that like something that they talk about in the tattoo community about like people getting hand tats and shit?
Well, when I tattoo someone who's young, I generally try to keep them away from like the most painful spots, like the ribs. People like girls especially, they'll love to come and be like, "Yo, I want my first tattoo on my ribs." I'm like, "No way."
Absolutely.
I don't
not.
even know if you're gonna make it through the first 5 minutes of it, And I've people tell me I've got a light hand. So, but yeah, like if someone comes in and they're like, 19, fresh out of high school, I'll be hesitant to tattoo anywhere that's like extremely visible, like the neck. I'd stay away from head tattoos entirely.
Why do you
Like-
stay away from those?
Oh, it's on someone's head, bro. Like, I don't, like,
You just don't want you don't want the responsibility for it, or you don't want the
well, I feel like I could execute it properly, and from what I hear from other artists, is like the area of the skin is pretty easy to work. But like I want to be a good memory in someone's mind, and I feel like the likelihood that you might regret a face tattoo is more likely than anywhere else.
damn.
Yeah, you got to look at that face every day.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess that's a good way of looking at it. I didn't think of it like that. I don't know, man. So like, what in the community they did like? Is that just a thing that people are just saying? People just talking shit then about the hand tat and neck tat shit?
Well, hand tattoos fall out. Like you can execute them really well, and they don't last as long as other tattoos. Like you can put them in as an artist and put them in the right layer of skin, go over the lines, and you might see that tattoo in 3 months, and half the ink could have fallen out. Like there are some artists out there that do hand tattoos really well. I'm not saying it's impossible, but for like even here in the city, like I don't know or I don't follow any artists that like post their hand tattoos really. Like some people will do like little font and little roses and stuff, but none of that really intricate stuff actually sticks in the skin because you're just moving it all the time. And any time in the healing process where you're like moving something, that ink's gonna fall out. So anywhere that moves, like you get a tattoo in the ditch of your arm, and when it's moving all the time, you're gonna cause the ink to come out of the skin more. It's not gonna heal as well. Same thing with like the ribs, but to a lesser extent. But anywhere there's a fold in the skin, or like near your ankles, same thing.
Fuck. Yeah, I guess I would. I don't know. You got tattoos, right?
Just one.
Just one. What? And you got it obviously from him. Oh,
Yes.
look at how nice you are, eh?
Oh.
How nice.
Yeah, shucks.
That's what about your experience getting tattooed from him? Good.
I don't know because I wasn't there for it. What did you give me?
I gave her like a Xanax analog from like the dark web.
Yeah.
I took them before, so I knew they were safe, but
Mhm.
she was anxious.
Yeah.
Yes, I helped her out a little bit.
Well, that helped. eh? That helped. I bet you didn't feel a
Yeah,
thing.
no, I was groggy for the whole half day next day.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, even the next day. Yeah, I would have. Yeah, that would sneak up on you. They got
Yeah.
you there. Yeah. The dark, like you in that fucking. I always like hearing your shit when you'll be like, guess what I found, and I'm like, you're always finding some wild shit, dog. Like, yeah, I guess like, would you? Okay. What about if someone's? I guess it doesn't matter. People get fucking tattoos drunk all the time. I guess it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I mean, would you? Have you ever had something like that where someone's coming in pretty fucked up and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's a few ways of looking at this from an artist. Is that there's the one saying, we probably all heard, it's like, oh, we can't tattoo a drunk person because it thins out the blood. But honestly, I don't think people bleed enough during tattoos. Like, unless you're doing like a 12-hour giant back piece with very large lines, like, you're losing a tiny little bit of blood.
Mhm.
You're probably not even losing as much as you'd get from having a syringe of blood taken from you. Probably much less. So I don't know. It's definitely made a difference. Like, I know people who've come in a little bit under the influence, and honestly, if you know the person and they're comfortable with it and you're comfortable with it, like I don't see a problem with it necessarily, but they're, you know, it's in a professional environment, so a lot of times artists would just be like, you know, don't come in under the influence. I feel like, especially because like some drunk people, they just don't have like the cardio to sit through something that's uncomfortable as long as they would in sobriety.
Right.
But some people are just tougher when they're drunk, you know.
I guess.
Yeah.
Get like not feeling anything.
Liquid courage, man.
Right.
Well, because you see like those videos of people like passing out, right? Like, and what's that? Like, usually people say that's from like if someone didn't eat before they came or something like that. Like, I mean, obviously it could be various different things. Like, I'm not gonna say it's one thing. You would know more than I would, but
Yeah, I've never like had it happen to me. I feel like it happens to artists when they like they're doing like something with large lines. Like that causes a lot of trauma to the skin initially when you're using like a large liner with multiple different needles. I'm a mostly like fine line kind of artist, so what I experience or what I've seen outside is that people go in and they'll go in and they'll like, instead of like gently like going into the skin, they'll just kind of be like, oh, I know how to do this, and then they'll go pull a long line and the person's body just goes into like fight or flight, and that's when they get hot and they pass out. Yeah, I've seen. I've been doing this for, you know, a year and a couple months, and I've seen it happen only twice.
so, like someone pass out.
Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah.
What's the like call? Like you just get them up. Call. Do you have to call 911?
You know, you try to get them to lay down a little bit. You know, but last time I saw it happen, like everyone was pretty because like his eyes were rolled back into his head.
Shit.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, man.
Yeah, like, you know when someone gets like knocked out and they're like, he was stuck.
Oh fuck.
Yeah,
He was seizing up.
But it was his first tattoo, giant shoulder piece. Like, come on, I don't know, you're kind of asking for it. I think just the shock alone of you seeing the fact that you're getting tattooed would be enough.
Well, especially because your skin's not getting impaled all the time.
Right.
Not usually.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like, God, wow. Yeah, no, I don't know. That's wild. Like, has any, like, maybe even aftermath, like, I would assume, like, beginning of tattooing, like, when tattooing first happened, probably, like, infections obviously would kill people. But, like, I know this may be a dumb question, but has, like, anyone ever died?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Like, I've heard of it.
Can we find that out? Search that up, please.
Yeah, there's this guy who got, like, this traditional kind of, like, religious piece with these hands praying, and the skin caused an infection that caused his whole body to go in septic.
Yeah,
Oh,
septic,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so he died from it, and it just looks like, you know, when a venomous snake bites an area and all that skin just dies.
Oh.
Kind of looks like that. Yeah, I'm kind of...
30-year-old
It's gonna-
one Texas man got tattooed on his right leg.
I'm curious to see images.
Yeah, I wonder if we can find images.
Yeah, that one right there. That one got pretty messed up. Yeah, the one in the very left corner.
Very left corner.
The hands.
The hands, yeah.
Top left. So it looks like he went swimming in the Gulf of Mexico and fluid collected in it and then caused an infection.
Yeah,
Oh
the
my
before and
God.
after.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
That'll
right.
do.
Oh,
that looks like an injury that would kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
doesn't
it
look
does.
fucking good. Oh.
Yeah, I tell people not to swim after getting a tattoo, and this is why.
Why would you? It's open skin.
I know.
Especially
people
after you
don't
just got
think.
hurt.
Well, you're at the Gulf. of
Right?
Mexico.
Yeah.
Like pina coladas, it doesn't matter.
Fuck, you want to enjoy your vacation, man?
You're
Come
on
on.
vacay, but
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. That's tough. Have you ever heard even this is just a totally sad story, by the way, what I'm about to drop on you guys. So this guy and his wife went to Hawaii. And when they went to Hawaii, they did like surf lessons. So they had like a trainer, and the guys with his trainer and the girls with her trainer. And they're in the water, whatever they're learning. Then they get called the shark, like everyone out of the water. So the shark ended up getting somebody. So there's like a pool of blood and everything. Homeboy gets out and he's like, "Where's my wife?" He ends up finding out it's his wife. His wife, they
shit.
never found her or anything like that. Like, bro, what the fuck? Like, imagine going on vacation to Hawaii. You guys go to plan for a trip. And then you do all this, like, you want to I want to surf in Hawaii. And you go, and then, like, that happens, bro. Fuck. Especially, like, for that, dude.
yeah, that's why I don't go on vacation.
Yeah. You don't go on vacation at all,
Just in case.
just in case.
Right, you don't
Those
wanna
sharks out there. I don't want to fucking be beefing with sharks, man. Sharks freak me out though.
Yeah.
Sharks freak me out. Even though like they fucking only kill like what is it, like 4 people, 6 people every year or something like that. I
We
forget.
kill way more sharks.
Yeah, we kill way more sharks.
Way more fucking sharks.
I hear more people get killed by like coconuts falling from trees than
Really?
Those are deadly though.
Yeah, it's
Those
like
are
it's
a
like
good
an
amount of deaths.
8-pound steel ball just falling on your head.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just like, I just what did it say? 57 confirmed, unprovoked.
9 this year.
9 this year so far. Okay, I lied about the 4. I lied.
That was last year.
That was last year's.
Yep.
How
Yeah.
many people die from coconuts?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the
exactly what we're gonna
coconuts,
search
yeah.
up now too, because like now I'm curious. Fuck. Whoa!
Holy shit.
150 people worldwide each year.
Fuck.
That's a significant number.
That's
A lot more than
people.
sharks.
Oh,
Way more than
way more
sharks.
than sharks. Fuck, a year?
Yeah.
Like a year? Yeah, I guess that'd be it. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
Dead by Coconut's
It's like
tough.
1,000 Ways to Die. You remember that show?
Oh my
Oh,
god, that
fucking
show was
love that show.
awful, dude. That show had some of the most horrific fucking ones.
Like
what?
here's a graphic demonstration, kid.
Yeah, they would explain it, and then they're like, "Now we'll give you the demonstration." And if you look here, now if you were to stomp, like one was like if like this dude getting stomped pretty much to death, like in the sense of like people were running and like even that what's the name that rapper recently. What was it? Gorilla? I think that's her name. I swear to God, I think that's her name. Gorilla. She had a concert recently, and like 4 people died.
God damn, bro.
What?
A lot of stampedes.
The
at
Stampede,
concerts.
yeah. And then it was like remember that stuff at Astro World, Travis Scott's thing?
Mhm.
Fucking God. It's like
People gotta learn how to behave, man. Just chill out.
it's interesting when you put like that many people together. You know what I mean? When you put that many people together in a fucking room or in a place or any sighting where it's just
Anywhere
like,
on Earth.
they have access to drugs, they have access to alcohol, and nobody is supervising these people. And it's like even like when you have like security, it's never enough. Like
No.
I don't think every event you hear they're like we didn't hire enough security for this at all. And it's like even that, bro. Everything's been like that. Like even Woodstock '99, that was a fucking disaster. Remember that? Have you seen that documentary?
I heard about it.
Have you ever seen the documentary?
No,
It's
it's on
why
Netflix, right?
it's on Netflix. It's so fucking good, dude. It's so good.
Well, it's like it was gonna be. They were trying to be even cheaper than the original Woodstock, and the original Woodstock was pretty cheap.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like they threw money together and like showed up at a farm.
Right. Can you imagine living in fucking 1969?
I'd be dead.
You think so? Yeah, probably. I'd probably be out there doing shit. That'd be your fucking era for sure in the 60s, eh?
Yeah,
You'd be.
Same with
Yeah, you'd go to the 60s. They were
I
doing
would.
some shit. There was the moon, fucking landed on the moon in the 60s. Like, that was kind of wild.
Last time we accomplished anything, really.
Yeah. We haven't even been back since, 1970?
75, I think.
1971, I think
Yeah.
it is. And it's like, bro, you seen that shit with the rockets now, too? Fucking Elon, my boy Elon, fucking flying them bitches up, bringing them back down.
Oh, yeah.
That shit's big. That
Still
shit-
can't get to the moon though.
We still can't get to the moon, though.
Still
yeah.
somehow
It's
we still didn't figure that out.
It's crazy how much the threat and the competition of war will push a country to do impossible things.
Mhm.
We went to the moon because Russia was also trying to go to the moon.
And we were like, what?
We can't let these motherfuckers beat us there. Are you kidding me? Are you
Look at this
kidding
guy.
me? The Soviets get me hyped up.
Undo that thing of it.
I'm undoing it. Don't tell me what to do.
It's all right.
No, but seriously, like if I could have been born in a different time, I feel like one of my first picks would be to go back in like the 60s, to be like a teenager during the 70s, so I could experience like the counterculture, the psychedelic movement of that time, because now we're seeing all these kind of things become decriminalized. BC's
Slowly,
making that
yeah.
step. But yeah, you're seeing that now, and like I feel like that time we're even closer. I feel like especially now with all the things that are happening with like mental health, all that kind of stuff, it's important that people have access to like these kind of medications.
Mm-hmm.
These are the kind of medications that are going to open people's minds and like heal the root of the problem instead of just like masking the problem.
Right.
That's like what most people are doing now. Like when they've got mental health problems, they mask them and they just like pile up, medication. And I don't, that's sustainable for a while, but probably doesn't fix the problem.
No. It's interesting because I was reading something the other day on like there was like 8 or 9 Navy SEALs in Oregon that went to like, I don't know, I'm assuming it's like this fucking Senate or whatever, whoever fucking is in charge of, you know, all of Oregon. And he just very much walked in there with like 9 Navy SEALs and like, you're going to approve this psychedelic treatment because they all had PTSD and they wanted to, you know, like they want to continue on with the psychedelic medications and like
they want people to get healed,
right?
And that's a really big thing. And I feel like especially now with all that war that's happening, we're going to see a lot of people come back with like PTSD, and I feel the best possible method to heal that kind of stuff is like MDMA assisted psychotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you heard this before? It's the medicine they push now. It's really only cure the outward problem, how you behave in public, how people perceive you, because that's all they really care about. They want you to act normal when you're going around, but the stuff they tend to like to criminalize is supposed to fix the problem that are inward.
Yes.
Things that you can only really solve yourself,
Yeah.
or at least learn how to live with.
Yep. That's very true, man. Well, at the end of the day, I feel like our system promotes medicine that keeps people
Obedient.
being obedient, a part of the system, functional.
Yes.
And sometimes to heal, you can't afford to be functional. Sometimes to actually heal, you gotta like, you know, fast and disconnect and change your lifestyle. You know, a lot of people I know, they can't manage working like a full-time job and also healing. So that's why you see so many people in the world like stack on trauma that they don't heal for years on years. I'm sure they would like to, but most people after that 40 hour in a week, they can't even muster up the strength to like get up and get something from the fridge and cook it. How are they going to do something as delicate as healing themselves? Like going into their mind and working with themselves to heal. And and it takes work to heal yourself with these medicines.
I feel like it also has to come from your inner desire to want healing for yourself. It's not something, I don't think there's restriction in regards to, you know, what we can do for ourselves. You use work as an example. I feel if you really want deep down to heal from something, you will take the time to do that.
Right.
And I feel like in North America, at least in Canada, you have welfare type of systems that actually make it possible for you to take some time off of work and focus on yourself for a little bit. But a lot of times people end up abusing those systems instead of actually using it for good for themselves, you know?
Right. It's interesting because what you even said and what he said, it's like you have to want it. Like you have to want to change. It's very like, especially when you like talk to people now, like, you know, and people are going through a lot of things. Like, you know, we just can't. We're all done from being stuck inside for fucking 2 years, like away from our friends, family, whatever. And then you make, you know, everyone just has to come out and like, okay, back to like, let's get back to work. Let's get back at it.
All right, forget about that.
Yeah.
Let's get back to normal now.
But it's like, you're right though. It's like how, like you got to want to do it. It's very hard to explain that to people too. It's like, you know, cause you don't want to sound like that. You don't want to sound like the guy that is always like, hey man, like, it's just like, no, you just want better for people. And like, I think there's like multiple ways of doing it. Like the example that she was saying about like your work, like the fact that tattooing maybe is actual stress reliever for you. And like you enjoy going to hang out with these people. Like how many people do you think though could say that? Probably not a lot, right? A lot. Like, what number do we want to put out there? Like 80% of people at least are probably working a job they don't like.
Yeah.
At least roughly, right? We can say that. That's a fair number.
I think that's super fair, man.
And it's just like, you know, you do this constant thing where like you have like you go to work and then you're hanging out with these people that, first of all, you actually hang out with more than your probably your family, essentially, right? So you work like whatever, let's say 50 hours a week at this job, and then you go home and you barely have a connection with whoever it is, like your kids or your loved ones, because now you're just like, I'm going to use the example of like someone who goes home and they drink right away. Like, listen, I've always been like, you do what you want. Right. Like I think like I have my stuff situated, and sometimes you can only think about, I think about like myself and like the people around me of what I could do to help them. But it's like, you know, what am I going to do for this guy? Like, you know, you got to want to change. Like, you got to want to change. You have to want to. But it's like the fact that, and, you know, these people, like, they get so comfortable of, like, coming home and drinking every fucking day that it just like one day it just hits them. Like it just, whoa, what the fuck? What have I been doing? I've been stuck at this fucking job I don't like for 10, 12 fucking years now.
What
and
do they call that? They call that a midlife crisis.
midlife. Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they do.
man. They do. And then like, shit happen. Like, and then that's, like you, if you want to say like why, 50% of marriages fail, then they realize like, oh, maybe I don't even like this person. Like, I've been so busy, like for years, I haven't even noticed the person that's in front of me. That's like, this is my significant other. And it's like, I don't talk to this person. We've drifted away and it gets away from you. And it's like, that's interesting, especially because like, I'm only 23. I haven't experienced like that much, I experienced enough, but I haven't experienced everything. But it's interesting, like looking as a kid and like you watch these people at like your own work, right? Like you work with a bunch of older gentlemen.
Yeah.
And it's like they a lot of those guys, like I'm not trying to shit on them, but sometimes they don't have the best outlook on shit. They just don't. Like they're like, what do you mean? You got to work. You just got to work and work.
How dare you?
Oh my God, here we go.
The gentlemen I work with are all highly functioning adults.
I bet.
Their lives are figured out.
Yeah. Do you want some more whiskey, brother?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were you about to ask me what I do for work?
Yeah, because like I've been in like shops like myself, and that was kind of what I noticed as well as the guys I worked with. The very restricted mindset. Yeah.
I work construction, so the stereotypes of the men that I work with are correct. Usually it's like, other day we're talking about how a guy's about to move on his third divorce. You know what I mean? Like
trouble.
Yeah. And the only advice they'll ever give you, only life advice you'll ever get from these older guys are stick around till you get your pension. Don't marry anybody. And when you do, don't let her near your pension.
Yeah, it is though. That's how like most older guys are. So it's like interesting. Like you listen to them, they're like, oh, don't do that, and it's like, that. I don't know, man. It's just like sometimes they, like I get it because even I was saying to him the other day, like my no, like my Italian side of my family works a lot of construction and like they do concrete and stuff, and they just worked like they work 12, sometimes like fucking 15-hour days. Like that's all they would do is just work. And it was so normal that the only conversations we're really having with like, I'm going to say my family, I obviously don't know everyone, I can't speak for everyone here, but when I would go there, it's just like, oh, well, like how's work? Right. And it's like, it's not like, how are you doing? Like, oh, it's how's work? And cause they would assume if work's busy, that's good then. Oh, so you're doing good. Mm-hmm. Like that's how they take that as like, oh, I'm laid off right now. Ooh, fuck. Like, oh, maybe you're not doing it. Like, you know what I mean? So it's interesting that it's even what he brought up the one time where people ask you who you are. And like, you'll say like, oh, I'm Tyler and I do this. Yeah. And it's like, it's crazy because
that's not you, motherfucker.
It's not you. Yeah. And you would say, and still like just as normal conversations, we're talking and it'll be like, well, what do you do for a living? Like, that's how it goes. But that's like usually that's like the top at least 4 questions you're going to ask. It's in one of them. Yeah. It's, hey, what's your name? How old are you? What do you do? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's literally how it goes.
It's a part of your identity for
right.
most people.
Right. Yeah. That's very interesting, isn't it? It's very interesting because like you don't learn, like you're not really learning about you're learning about what they're doing, but it's just like that's such the social norm now. It's like you feel like you don't have a connection with people. It's like when you came on the last time and we were talking about like neighbors. Like you could live next to somebody for fucking years and not even know them and not even kind of know them.
Yep, not at all.
You know what I mean?
Like you don't even talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I at least try to have like a kind of good relationship with my neighbors. Like we got that like 96-year-old Italian lady beside us, but it's. It definitely speaks for like the overall lack of community that we have. What were you just speaking about before?
Like jobs and like people like like
the
you
identity.
Just yeah.
So I remember I used to say to you, Rozmeen, that I had a huge problem with that. Like when I would talk to people, this was before I tattooed, and it would be like my mission to like whenever I talked with people, if that kind of conversation would come up, like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? I try to like steer the conversation direction into a place of like, okay, what are you about? Like,
that's a better way. Yeah.
It's not what do you do? It's like, what are you about? Like, well, what do you stand for? That's kind of more of your identity than like, what do you do
to feed yourself?
Put food on the table. Yeah.
It's I remember this interview. It was a hippie in the 60s actually. He's shirtless in jeans, sitting on a hill with no shoes on. And he goes, people always ask, like, what do you do? But that's like what I do as I just live, man. Like what you do for work, that's like something you got to do. But it doesn't mean that's what you want or what you want to be doing. You don't really have a choice. You have to do it. But people, if we want to move on as people, like as society, we have to start wondering, like, what are we doing with this? Like, what are we doing with, like, you have to work, sure. But what are you doing with your life?
Right.
What do you want? Who are you? I think, like, he was obviously tripping hard, but it was a beautiful message
Yeah.
at the time.
That is a beautiful message though, because it even your way of saying like, what are you about? Like that's how bro, you can get so much ground covered that way. Fuck, like you know what I mean? Could you imagine you just start off every conversation like, what you about? You know what I
What
mean?
you about,
like,
bro?
Bro,
What
I
you
do
got?
a lot of that.
Yeah.
I do a lot of that in my job.
What do you think is the most interesting thing you learned about people doing that?
There's a lot more in common with individuals. I think just overall, what I've learned is that as individuals, we like to think we're very unique. But what I've noticed is even the most interesting individuals, we're all kind of the same.
Mm.
Yeah, we're all subjected to our biology, our genetics. But as a species, we all kind of like think, want, crave the same kind of things. And I've seen that in what I do. It's like, it's so easy to look at the differences.
Yeah.
But when you truly boil it down, like we're all very similar. It's a beautiful thing for sure.
Some people, I mean, there's a lot of definitions, but the collective consciousness, it's like we all, in some form, we share this, like the whole thing, the experience. And we have it, people finish each other's sentences like all the time. If you're with someone enough, you know how they think because your consciousnesses are almost identical in a way.
Yeah, I experienced some of that with you. A lot of finishing the process of the mind, just because we spend so much time with one another. It's how it is, especially on psychedelics. I'm sure I've told you guys a story of the dissolution of boundaries that happen when you're on psychedelics. But with you, it was like the experience of like, oh, I know exactly what you're thinking about, and I don't I'm not even. You're not even speaking to me, and I know what's going on in your head, and it's crazy because I can't, it's hard to put that into a story for someone.
It's telepathy.
Yeah.
It is, man. It is. I'm telling you. Listen, I didn't believe it, but a friend showed me a video of me and another dude, and it's like we're having a full-on conversation. At one point, he goes, "You should be the president." And I'm like, we didn't say a fucking word. We didn't say a word, but we're pointing, going, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
It's for some reason you break down that barrier, and you don't really need sound or emotions. It just happens.
Oh yeah, we were in a pitch black room. Like it was dark.
The perfect spot.
The right way to do psychedelics.
Jamming electronic music, and it was just it happened on more than one occasion too.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about it. I feel like we probably should dose the entire water supply.
Just once.
Just one time.
Just one time.
Just one give it.
Just
give
a
it one
social
go.
experiment. I mean, if they could get away with COVID,
That was good.
we should at least try dosing the water at least once.
Well, we said it. I think the first time you were on, where it's like all presidents or senators and shit. Once a year, they should have to sit in a room together.
Yeah, with some people beating drums.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Just a shaman from every fucking province.
Right.
It just makes no sense with them making laws like that. Like it's like, who are you? It's like I'm a grown adult. Like, you know what I mean? Like the fact that you're telling me I can't do this thing that I'm not going to say, I don't know what percentage you want to put out there of people may do psychedelics, but a decent amount. Like if you go and talk to people, you can probably hear I've done mushroom once, I've done LSD, whatever. Right. Mm-hmm. But it's for you to be not for you though. You guys can't have this. It's I can have this. Right. I can have this alcohol, and I'll tell you for free.
This poisonous drink.
This poisonous drink right here that I love so much fucks me up more than probably at any of those.
Oh, bro, it's so interesting because there's a high degree of neurotoxicity that's attributed to alcohol use, especially if you're using it more than just once in a blue moon. It's not good for you. Right. But because it's easily you know what a shot does to you. You know what a beer does to you. Like you can kind of like understand how it's gonna hit you. With psychedelics, oftentimes like you hear people all the time. They're like, "Oh, Graham, smack me, put me into the netherworld." You know,
Yeah.
and I understand. Like it's not the same. 1 gram isn't always equal to 1 gram, or 1 tab isn't always equal to 1 tab. But alongside that, I mean, it's just what does alcohol do as a drug? I mean, it helps people relax at the end of the day when they've been working hard and they've already been like using their brain all day, right? When they come home, they can have a couple beers, slow the mind down a little bit, make them a little more like makes you a little more docile, and that's kind of like with cigarettes too.
Right.
Yeah, it's like instant dopamine release. Yeah.
It's interesting too because when you have like something like alcohol, right? It's interesting what like 1 or 2 drinks will do, right? Like 1 or 2 drinks make just, we're just having a conversation. We're not fucking getting out of hand.
Right.
Not yet, anyways. But you know what I mean?
It's early.
It's early. Yeah, we're not getting out of hand. But like, it's interesting as you keep going throughout the night, what happens to people. Like we talked. It's funny, before we came in here, we were talking about like what's like alcohol can do. Like for people, it could be like they're drinking all night and it looks like it doesn't even fucking hit them. It looks like they didn't even have 1 drink. Like it's like holy shit. But with some people, you can see it like as the night goes on, like your speech gets fucked, and then it's like your literal like the way your body moves and functions in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's so interesting, and we're this like like every Saturday night we pile people into this bar and do that, but it's like it's weird that you can't like it is weird that you just can't like sit at home and like do as like whatever you guys are doing. Like it seems like you guys are happy all the time. Fuck, like you know what I mean? Like it seems way better than going out and spending money. Like the fuck.
Well, more than just like the fact that it's easily quantifiable, but it's also I feel like the system that we're in. It's like it's almost like a war, not on drugs. It's a war on like your like it's a war on consciousness. Yeah. It's a war on your mind.
Well, like it's interesting you say that, but I also think with stuff like that, I think there's just no money in it for them. It's more they make more money. Like 70% of ads are pharmaceutical. 70% of ads are pharmaceutical. So it's like it's easier to push.
Damn, that's you're right. Holy shit.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
Like
I've never noticed that, but you're fucking right.
Like, and you know what I mean? Like, it's for everything. Like you ever hear those ads where it's like it's a medication, it's meant to stop, I don't know, fucking blood clotting, and they're like, but you can like your anus could fall. Like it's like a whole bunch of shit. Like you're just like it'll be like, oh, I gotta, you may go blind, like or something like that. It'll just add a whole bunch, but it's like
definitely don't drive on this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, don't drive on this. Yeah. But it's like stuff like that, right? It's like there's no money into making something that grows from the fucking ground already, and like that most people could do at home. Not saying you should. I'm just saying you can. But you know what I mean? Like,
it's already an established industry.
Right.
Alcohol. So
Yeah.
I would think it would be something that's very difficult to just dismantle, and it's been in our society for so long where we have come to the point of addiction with it. So it's not going to be something that we can just replace with, psychedelics or weed. Maybe now it's starting to come into that space a little bit more, but not the same as alcohol. Also because it's different in nature, I think. Like alcohol, you're more outwardly, I'd say. You're more social, you can interact with people. But psychedelics is like, it takes you more inside. And I think oftentimes people don't want to be that deep inside of their own thoughts. So it's not something they want to do it as recreationally as alcohol.
Why do you think that people don't want to go deep inside sometimes?
Personally speaking, from my experience, it can feel really crazy. Like it can feel like you are losing your mind at times, and I don't think it's very comfortable to be in that space.
For
like,
people.
Have you experienced paranoia on weed? Like whenever you've had
Probably like, yeah, probably like some sort. Like I would just say like, I've been like pretty like high before where I'm like, okay, I kind of just need to shut it down. Like now it's time to like, we're tapping out for the day, and I'll go. Like I did that off like 500 one time, and I was like, okay, I should probably, this is a wrap up kind of night. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Psychedelics can kind of do that to you. they don't always do that to you. They're not always going to make you feel like you're losing your mind, but it has the tendency to show you things and make you feel things. It's almost like you can smell colors and like see taste in
Right.
it, you know. That's the kind of feeling, and that can be very uncomfortable when you're just going into it, you know, out of the blue. That's why I think it's important to set intentions when you're doing psychedelics, like have a purpose for why you're doing that. But then if you're just doing it recreationally, you won't always have an intention for that experience, you know. So it's not something to just do lightly, but more so like if you want something out of it.
Right. Yeah. Do you think maybe like people who do it for fun, like, you know, you'll talk to people like I have a few buddies who just like do mushrooms for like the shits and gigs. Like they'll take mushrooms and go downtown. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you know, you ask them about, you know, shit that we talk about. Like, it's like, oh, what do you feel on them? And they're just like, man, I'm just fucked up having a good time. Like, I don't think they're using it for like how like you guys have used it, or like I've done it a few times and like shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if people use it for that, but it's like, it's interesting the way that you could use it, right? It's interesting that you could go deep into your own self and like figure out things. Mm-hmm. I think that's like the biggest thing for it. Like that's why I think it should be, you know, what like Oregon's doing. I always talk about Oregon. They've legalized everything, and I think it should be up to like people to choose. The problem with that, like, you know, you have the argument is like, well, what about my kid? Like, I don't want my kid, and obviously you don't want like your kids doing drugs, but I also think like you're not going to be the person to stop them. Like, kids are rebellious. The most interesting thing I've heard, this guy I know has never done like he's never drank or done anything. Like, he doesn't like that stuff. And I remember one time, this one kid, I didn't see it, but they swapped out his beer. He had non-alcoholic beer, and they swapped it out for actual beer. And I remember, like, it's like almost immediate. Like, he tasted it, and he's like, "There's alcohol in this." And then, like, I didn't know, and I was like, "Bro, you don't drink. Like, that's your drink." Like, when you left, like, because I was just sitting at the bonfire, like, I wasn't paying attention that someone swapped out his fucking beer, and they were all like laughing, like, "Oh, we did swap his beer," and he was pretty upset about it. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, that's not something you want to do. Like, I don't think, like, I don't like that shit, like, where it's like people dosing people in the sense of like they're not aware of it, and like you're making them do this thing that they already are saying that they don't actively like to do. And then you like, you know, like someone who will put like, you know, you probably have a few stories where people put out like pot brownies and like don't say a thing to anybody. Like, those put them out, and you know, they wait and they're like, those had weed in them, and you know what I mean? Haha, isn't that funny? I dosed you with that, and you didn't like weed, or you don't like edibles or whatever. But it's like, yeah, man, like, it's like, fuck. I honestly felt bad for the kid at the time, because I was like, man, that's like fucking, like, you're a fucking asshole, man.
That's
like,
pretty fucked up.
That's pretty fucked up, man. Like, this guy had like a whole streak of him not like never doing it.
The man brought non-alcoholic beer. He should just leave it at that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, for some people, like, when you make that decision, you don't know if that person struggled with some sort of addiction before. Like, some people, all it takes is that drink, that one drink, and then they got to deal with, like, you know, half a year of misery just to get back on the right track again. So
you see it constantly, though. Like, there's people that fall off the wagon all the time, like, where they go through recovery and they do the whatever, like, I don't know what it is, the step programs and stuff like that, and then they you know, one night and fucking it happens. That's man. It happens.
It's like a demon, man. It just takes you.
It is, and it's interesting, right? Because like, there's definitely different forms of addiction. Like, there's, you know, you have alcohol, and then you can have like various different types of drugs. But I've even thought like those were interesting, like heroin. Like, I knew a guy that would do heroin, and he was functional. Like, he was literally the best guy at the job. Like, the best fucking guy at the job. Like, he would every day at lunch, he would go, and we had a 45-minute lunch. He'd get whatever he had to get, come back. Last 15 minutes, he's doing heroin in his car, and then he comes back, and he's fine. Like, he's better at the job. Like, that's what I mean. Like, he was better at the job.
Boss, you gotta understand, I'm way better when I'm on heroin.
And the thing is like, people knew this guy was on heroin. They're like, fuck, he does good work. Like,
we need him on heroin.
He does good work.
I mean, like, I'm sure you've met a few individuals who drink on their breaks.
I won't confirm or deny that. But yeah, there's people that will drink on their lunch break.
Right. Yeah. Or like, I find, especially with like before the pandemic, the whole like office work, everyone was doing blow.
They're getting they're on their break. They're getting either bottomless mimosas or bottomless lines in the handicap stall.
Oh, they're doing something.
Yeah, those countertops are always looking.
Not a streak of dust on them.
But like it's interesting, like some people. But then obviously, like then there's the other side of it where it's like heroin fucks. Like they literally will ruin relationships, like lose their job, all this shit. It's like interesting to see how like that affects people. It's like even the fucking gambling thing. The gambling thing's the most interesting thing to me because the way I look at it, I'm not a gambler. I'm not by any means.
Same.
And the way I look at it personally is I work hard for my money. I do not want to give that to it. My odds are not good. Let's just say that. Like anytime you are gambling, the odds are never in your favor. I know. Like someone's gonna hear this and be like, "I'll argue with this fucking kid." Like, but like, you know what I mean? I don't think the odds are ever in your favor. Like a casino brings in like I don't even know how. Like, bro, when they shut that shit down for a little bit, like at Caesars, they were like, "Holy fuck,
The entire city's economy is in shambles right now.
Pretty much, bro. Because like no money. Like you don't even realize how much money they actually generate. Until you actually start like searching it up and you're like, holy fuck, dude.
I mean, like how many times, like I think I've been to the casino, like actually gambled maybe half a dozen times. And I only was up once.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I was only up once and I still didn't make the right decision then. I still kept on playing. You know what I mean? Like we went to the casino recently and it was your first time actually gambling.
Yeah.
How's that?
Where did that $20 go?
Stripped it right away from you. Hey, just took it. What were you playing?
It was the slots. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Those machines.
Yeah.
I must have made like maybe 75 cents in the end of it.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was not at all amped to do it again.
Yeah.
I don't understand how can you lose that money and then be like, I like that feeling. I'm going to go do it again.
It's like, and it was only $20. Like for your situation, it was only $20, and you were like, "Fuck, man! Like what the fuck?
Son of a bitch!
Son of a bitch!" Ugh, yeah, I can't. I just don't understand it. So it's like it's funny when people who are big gamblers. I actually try to have them explain to me. I'm like, just explain to me. I want to be bought in. I almost want to be bought in. You know what I mean? I'm like, just convince me.
I feel like if you win once, you'll feel that and then you'll want to try it again in hopes of it. I think that's what gets people going back is if they'll win, and if they'll win by like a decent amount even, they're like, oh, I must do that more. I can get more money out of it. Only that scenario I can imagine in my head where people are actually enticed to go to the casino and like gamble.
Right. I have 2 stories.
I have one.
Go ahead.
About gambling. So
Yes.
I knew this older man. He won the lottery. He won a couple $1 million. Him and his wife were big gamblers before that, but they finally got big. So they gambled on a business. The family drove it into the ground, and he had no money left. So he had to go back to his old job, sell all his houses and shit, get divorced, get remarried to the same lady. And then every single stop he would, like, I knew him because he was a delivery driver. Every single time he stopped somewhere, he went to buy lottery tickets. Every single fucking time, just on the off chance that he gets it back.
Fuck, see? And that's another form of addiction, dude.
Yeah,
Because it
man.
was like literally he won it and he was like, bro, I could win it again. I could win it again.
I did it once.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed the guys who, like, especially in our area, like Amherstburg, Windsor, like, the people who win the lottery are always old motherfuckers.
Yeah, man. 'Cause they,
It's never someone young. It's always someone who's been playing the game for, like, 50 years.
Didn't recently, like, a fucking 18-year-old win big?
Yes.
Oh.
I heard that. They
Yeah.
played
Here-
once.
here in
They-
Windsor?
yeah.
It was her first time, and she won, like, I think almost $1 million.
Yeah,
Oh
she
my
won.
God.
Yeah, that lucky
And,
bitch.
and it's funny because because the old guy at work that gambles, he goes, that's just so unfair.
That's kind of bullshit.
He goes, he played one time. Is this it? Yeah.
$48 million.
$48 million.
First ticket, $48 million. Go fuck yourself. This is why I don't play the lottery.
Oh, I'd be fucking not having my identity out there.
Where did she come from?
Does it say where she's from?
St. Mary.
Sault Ste. Marie.
Sault Ste. Marie.
Sault Ste. Marie. Shit. 48 mil.
Damn,
What do you think? How much
do with that
taxes do you think? How much taxes do you think
Oh,
they take
man.
off that? At least half.
A lot, but in the States it's probably worse.
States is way
Oh,
worse.
States.
Yeah,
I think they
they're
take,
walking
like-
home with $8 million after.
The States.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
They should just like put that in the number. They shouldn't advertise you're making at 48 million.
Yeah, it's like like she comes home with the check. You're like, you won't even believe actually what I took home. Like, that
We
was
got
just
about $25 left of the $5 mil.
That's just the picture. Like,
If you guys ever think about how you so a restaurant buys raw material for food, and then that food is taxed, and then they sell it to you.
It's taxed.
It's taxed again.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just keep doing that.
and it's just how I don't understand.
It's like, how many times is my dollar taxed?
right?
Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking jeez. Yeah.
Well, when you make it, when you spend it,
Yeah.
when you
Earn it.
anything.
Anything. Fucking anything, dude.
Just about anything they can dip their fingers into, the government will
not?
take.
Oh yeah, they'll take that bitch all
Why
day,
not?
man. But even like, I was gonna say my gambling thing real fast.
Shout out Aaron.
Well, even Aaron, I'll actually say that. That wasn't even one of the stories I was gonna say, but I'll even say that. Like the one time I did, I gambled. I put $5 in the slot, hit that bitch once, got $150 back, and I was like, okay, that's my drinking money for the night. Took that. Then I go a few weeks later, and someone's like convincing me, come on, just play once. And I'm like, fuck, whatever. I'll put $5 in. You know, I do a few spins, and I see like this girl walk by, and I'm like, yo, can you I'm like, hit this lever real fast. She hit it. Bro, I ended up winning like fucking $350 from $5. I said, I'm getting you a drink. Let's go. And I was so excited. And then I had a few buddies, so I bought everyone drinks. But I don't like that. Still even made like me being up like that. I was still like, nah. Like I was still like, nah.
I never saw the appeal to it. Like I played roulette
Right.
the once, and I bet on like zero or whatever.
Oh
I
shit.
bet a good amount, and I walked out with like a couple $100, and I don't remember feeling like, oh, that felt fucking great, man. Like I just was like, wow, now I can spend my money on more things. Like I
Oh.
can buy more food.
Yeah.
You know, that's what
You're
I
like,
thought.
fuck. I didn't have to work for that extra couple hundred. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what it was.
Mhm.
Bro, like my uncle told me this one story. So he's at the casino, and he's like, you know, he's just he's just gambling or whatever, and this guy just walks by, and my uncle goes, hey, that's a really nice jacket. It was just like some like it was like a Harley Davidson like 100-year anniversary jacket or whatever, and it's like, you know, it's just a nice leather jacket. Time goes by, that same dude with the jacket comes to my uncle and goes, hey man, how much you want for the jacket? And he goes, oh, like, you know, I got $100 on me. He goes, I'll give it to, like, that's a really nice jacket. I'll give it to you like $100. Okay. Dude comes back and goes, he's sitting down talking to my uncle, and he goes, I lost everything. My wife gave me that jacket for our anniversary. He goes, is there any way I can get it back? And my uncle just goes, look, man, I'll give you back. Can I just get like half my money back? Like, that's all he wanted. Like, he goes, okay, I'm going to go get half. Never show back up. It's like, fuck, dude.
That's sad.
And it is sad. It's so sad. It's like, fuck, man. I'm like, I don't know. Because, like, you hear people, like, I've heard people, like, as I'm walking out, and they're like, I lost my child's fucking, like, college fund. And I'm like, whoa. There's, like, someone else told me about this person that they work with. This person will get their check Friday, go to the casino, get a room, and just stay there the entire weekend and gamble the check, and then work all week, get the check, gamble all weekend. And it's just that. That's all it is.
I've read some stories that seems to be actually pretty common
Yeah, it
occurrence
does,
for
eh?
gambling addicts. Yeah, they'll just like slave away all week and then waste all of their money. It's a vicious cycle.
Right.
From the outside, it just looks very vicious.
Yeah, we get a nice weekend.
Yeah.
You get a net,
We get a
yeah.
nice weekend in a hotel room.
Totally worth it, right?
I'm kind of like,
They
you know
got
what,
a
that-
killer buffet. I don't know if you know
That sounds a lot better than my weekends.
Yeah, yeah, fucking not spending money, fucking most of the time,
Just bored.
just bored, trying
Not in a hotel room.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I thought that was interesting because it's just like, yeah, that like, it's just like that's a different form of it, man. It's just that's such a different form. Or like people who get like passionate about like sports. Like I know so many people who bet on sports, and it's like
That's a huge thing.
that's a
right now.
huge fucking thing.
Yeah,
dude.
people, and it gives you the sense of like, okay, I'm passionate about the sport. I understand
Yeah.
the sport, so I have a better hedge against losing. Like
Mm.
I'm all more likely to win. You know, like I've seen how people bet on fighting,
Right? Yeah.
and that shit looks super appealing to someone like I.
Who's in the fight?
Yeah, like I admit, like I spend a while doing it. Like I feel like I have a decent understanding of it. So at least with that, like I feel like I might have a little advantage, but you don't. It's set up, so they always win.
Right.
And they win most of the time.
They win most of the time. Like it's literally a percentage of people. Because like we're not wrong in the saying like people have made money doing this. Like there's people who have made money and that's all they do is just gamble. Like they just know when to gamble or something like that, which is interesting. I even heard like recently this guy for the last UFC card, he bet $1 on a like impossible 7 match parlay. Like guessed the round, guessed how they were gonna get like lose. He guessed them all right.
That's how you make some serious money,
bro. That $1, 500,000.
Damn.
$1, 500,000.
No, but seriously, lads, like, what would you do with that kind of money right off the bat? Like
500, dude. Listen, okay. I'm gonna buy a new vehicle. Like, I'm just gonna get a vehicle first that is like something that I like. Not nothing crazy. Like, I don't want fucking like some super car. Like, I just like I need like a vehicle that's decent and that will last. And then I'd probably get like I don't know, like the current house I have. Or like look for a better house, or like pay it off. You know what I mean? Or even like the way everything's going, it's probably better just to fucking put an extension on your house or something.
Some gold.
Yeah, bro. Did you hear about that stock? What was it? Fucking Sun Valley.
The bank.
Yeah. What is it?
Bank.
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. That's what it was, right? They dropped like 50% or something like that. Do you guys know about this more than I do?
Probably hear more than me.
70-some percent. 65, 70%.
What's like? Do you know anything about that right now? Like what's happening with that?
Not too much. I don't understand too
I wonder if we
much.
can search
Is this
it
the
up.
beginning of the end for the stock market?
I think we're seeing
Silicon Valley
repeat of
Bank.
2008.
Oh,
It was gonna happen eventually, man.
Well, it just doesn't make like I don't think like as far as we can go right now, like the system that we have going is like the best, but I don't think it's like super ideal, and I think it's bound for failure. Like it's a repeat. It's a cycle.
It relies on repetitive growth.
Yeah.
So the minute there's a lull, like in 2008 or right after the pandemic, it implodes on itself.
Yes, that's a really good statement, man. And I say this often about like corporations. We actually had this conversation the other night. Like, what's the difference between government and corporation?
Government wears a trench coat.
Well, like nowadays it seems like they're one and the same. Like the government bails out the corporations help the government thrive. It's hard to draw the line on which one's which, but I feel like what we're seeing right now, and this could be a long shot in the dark, but I feel what's happening is like when you get a large bank like that to like fail, smaller banks that relied on the larger banks probably also going to fail.
Right.
In that area. And that's like the area that's booming is like tech. All in that area, Silicon Valley. So I don't know, that's the sector that's kind of been driving our innovation, driving all of this investment.
Right.
And where's it going? It's like the crypto thing, the bubble burst a while ago, and now it's like, okay, what was the other bet before crypto? It was the tech industry. So what's happening to the tech industry right now? It's falling apart. You look at the prices of some of these stocks, it's just going down.
It's just some of it's fucked because even like, just so happened that Sam Bankman-Fried guy was the second highest donator to the Democratic Party.
I saw that.
Just fucking all of a sudden, he was just the high. You know what I mean?
He's got the cash.
FXT or
FTX or something like that. Whatever the fuck it is. But that was weird because like even bro, what the fuck were all those crypto billionaires dying in Puerto Rico for? Do you hear about that?
Stop bringing up the Puerto Rican crypto billionaires, man.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up.
Well, the tweet was suspicious.
The tweet was fucked. You know what I'm talking about? Can you search up the Puerto?
Yeah, bring it up. Bring up the Puerto Rican.
I'm bringing it up again. I'm bringing it up again, bro. So they just all happened to be dying in Puerto Rico.
There was only 3 of them.
It was ruled as a suicide, but the guy was swimming fully clothed.
execution style.
Oh fuck.
Okay, the tweet he made before he died was like, "Listen, if I suddenly end up dead, the CIA killed me, and also all that pedophilia porn on my computer was a plant." And then he died, and then they found a bunch of porn on his computer.
Whoa. Bro, I'm so skeptical of the government.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have a reason. Like I think a lot of people.
Do you remember John McCaffrey? Was it McCaffrey? The guy who made
The
that
antivirus.
the antivirus
motherfucker,
assault. And like near the end of his life, he went crazy, and was basically saying this same thing, that the government was going to kill him and plant evidence that he was a bad person.
Yeah.
And then it depends on who you believe. If you believe the documentary crew that followed him around for the last 10 years of his life, then maybe,
Yeah.
maybe they did.
See, that's the tweet right there. Some trafficking blackmail ring out of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean islands. They're going to frame me with a laptop planted by my ex-girlfriend who was a spy. They will torture me to death. And then he literally 4 hours later, he was found dead.
Fully clothed in a swimming pool.
Fully clothed.
Isn't that
Swimming
kinda
in
the
Puerto Rico.
Same as like the Jeffrey Epstein thing? It's like,
Oh, where cameras just happen not to work at a facility where cameras are supposed to constantly work.
right, like a max kind of security place.
Both guards took a
Bro,
nap.
we
It's not
had-
their
we-
fault.
we
just
had-
happened to be that way.
They all went for break at the same time, dog. Come on. You don't do that when you're in corrections? Come on, man. We actually had a corrections officer on, and we were talking about this. And he goes, those cameras are supposed to never shut off. And he goes, when you have an inmate like Jeffrey Epstein, your eyes are not going to be off that motherfucker.
Peeled.
Fucking, bruh, I'm on that floor. I'm watching. Dog, I'm at the door. I'm at the door watching that shit. I don't know.
Through the food slot.
Through the food slot, dog. I'm sitting next to it.
Somehow he managed to hang himself.
Right.
Yes.
And that I'm assuming that procedure takes at least a little bit of effort and some time,
Yeah.
right?
There's a lot of theories where like people think he's not dead because they're like, well, we never seen a body. That was
Well, they wheeled that one out of the jail.
yeah, but they're like, everyone was like, I don't know if it's him.
The ear's different, bro.
Yeah.
The ear's
What's
different.
even going on with his wife or his partner?
Oh,
she
she's in
got
jail.
she got 40 years, but she's doing hot yoga and shit,
Yeah,
dog.
she's
Like,
in
don't
an
worry about
ultra
her.
low security
She's in,
prison.
She's she
Yeah,
did
the prison.
yeah.
For sure.
Sure,
she-
she has her phone. She's chilling.
No, she does.
Yeah.
She actually is on Twitter, but yeah, she complained that the conditions in the regular jail were inhumane, so they basically put her in a rehabilitation center.
Nice. Sounds like something you get when you got a lot of dough.
Oh yeah, buddy. And then they were like, I thought I was getting hyped up because they were supposed to like release people that were on that list. His like the book or whatever the fuck it is. And it was like it was only people that wanted to. What was the thing that you read?
It was the people that gave their permission to be named.
yeah. So
Like they couldn't name. It was people that had already been caught, or people that gave their permission to be named because they knew there was no evidence that they
There
were.
was no way of like actually incriminating them. Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
God. Yeah, there's so much corruption in the upper levels of our government for sure.
Isn't
Dude,
it great?
he's the only guy that just got caught.
Right.
That's
He's
what
just
I'm
the worst
saying.
at
Well,
it.
that's what happens when you're like when money controls, right? When that energy controls, you like everything's planned out. You can buy everybody out from you can just buy people out. It's
Right.
that easy.
Especially when you have money.
If you can't buy one person out because they have morals, guess what? The other guy will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a price tag at the end of the day.
You know, it's interesting that you bring up like people in government and stuff like that. And I, honest to God, think if you want a job like that, you literally have to have like no sense of like guilt. You have to. I think for you to be at that high up position where you're literally making decisions for like everybody in the country that you live in, you like obviously there's gonna be some hiccups, and you can look at throughout history. There's been a lot of fucking hiccups. But it's like one of those things where it's like, I don't know, man. It's interesting because I heard one time, like, these people are public servants and we barely know anything about them. And they like, it's like, bro, we should know everything about you. Especially like when money gets involved, right? Like when money gets involved in politics, it gets fucking like really fucking sketchy when you hear people like, well, fucking, I'm donating. Well, because they can't say you're paying them. Like it's a donation. I'm donating to the
It's just
Democratic Party.
lobbying. You're
It's
just
lobbying or whatever. Fuck. Like, you know what I mean? It's so weird. I really do think you have to be like a different type of person to be in like that. Because I'm not even saying. I've always said I think people get into like politics and stuff, especially in the beginning, because they actually do want to make change. Like there's definitely a percentage of people that want to make change.
You see the brainwash happening in these individuals.
Yeah.
Man. It's a crazy turn. I was listening. I don't remember exactly where I listened to this from, but I think it was Russell Brand.
Can you put your mic closer, brother?
Yeah. So Russell Brand was talking about how he views the current U.S. political system as kind of like a reflection of the overall like consciousness of everyone, and how like we have a like in the States, they have a decrepit old man as the president that's like withering away day by day, and it's like, you know, he's completely just controlled by all the different.
He's just reading the cue cards, man.
And he doesn't even know what's going on. You ever see him try to shake hands with the air?
People that aren't there, he goes.
Yeah.
It's just like we bring him up all the time, Joe. But it's like I honest to God feel bad. Like
It's not
I
his
do.
fault.
It's
not his fault.
It's not his fault, but he's just up there. You know what I mean? Out there spewing shit.
He's in it, man. Once you get entangled in that kind of mess, like I don't think there's a way you get out.
I guess I don't know, especially because it's like you have so much like shit, like dirt on people at that time. Like once you're just so high up, it's just like, fuck. What do you guys want me to run in there for another 4 years? Like, bro, people are like, he's gonna run again. I was like, let's just take a seat. Like, let's just take a relax.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there should be limits. I feel like if we can trust what the system's doing is after Joe Biden stops being president, they should probably put in some sort of rule that if you're like over 80, you can't be the fucking president. There's just a level of mental decay that happens with everybody. And it is just a cold, hard fact of life is when you get old, you get dumb.
You are.
Right,
It's
I mean,
fair.
you enter this world dumb, right?
Yeah.
And you got to spend a lot of years learning things, and you leave the world
leave it pretty
dumb as
dumb.
well.
Yeah.
So, just it's not even a thing against him. Like, I've never looked at Joe Biden and be like, oh, this guy looks fucked up. He looks
Piece
like
of
an
shit.
alright dude.
Like you'd see, like, you know, it just seems like, you know, you were in politics your entire life, and it's like, bro, you could, like, let's tap out, go hang with the grandkids. You know what I mean? Let's
play
just
some golf.
be like, be a fucking grandpa, man.
Yeah.
Even like Trump's still out there just talking his shit and golfing. He's like, Joe doesn't know. Like, you know what I mean? Joe doesn't know. Can't wait till that guy's out. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, I don't. We talked about it before, but I can't see him getting back in Trump. I think it's actually, like, personally, out of any Republican, I think it's DeSantis.
Yes.
I think it's like people like that guy from Florida a lot.
Yeah, I would agree with that. See, I don't know what the next step is for the whole like political climate in the U.S. and in here. I think it's pretty crazy. Like I'm not the craziest fan of Justin Trudeau. I like some of the things that his government did at the beginning.
Yeah.
But now that it's like years in, you just see the
It feels like it has been forever.
Yeah.
Like forever. It's been dragging on.
Right. And then mid-pandemic, you just did the hardest flex on people. Like, let's do a revote. You know, and they just won by, like, flying colors, you know.
Go fuck yourself.
It's
It
weird.
was just a big fuck you, you know. Like, I
It's
knew
just-
it was going to happen.
Yeah. It's just weird because I haven't met anybody that actually likes him. Like, bro, people actively have, like, fuck Trudeau flags. They're like, let's get a flag up on my lawn.
I have
Like,
never seen that in my 27 years of being
the
alive.
fuck Trudeau shit.
I have seen
Oh,
it,
okay.
but what I mean, like for any other government figure, I've never seen that kind of crazy.
It just says fuck their last name.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's ever been like that much hate unilaterally.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I see it on a bunch of like people's like
too.
cars.
Oh,
and
now-
shit, dude.
now
it's
you
always
do.
the pickup
Oh.
trucks.
Yeah. You know their vote. No. But no, dude, like it's fucking, I don't know, it's wild because it's just like so many, bro, people are like, he'll announce like, I'm gonna be here talking, and people are like, good, like I'm gonna be outside that building screaming at you.
Yeah, bro, that's just like, it's a good little segue into cancel culture. There's a lot of that going on right now.
There's a lot of it because I thought someone recently got in trouble, maybe not. I heard that the Chris Rock's new special upset Will, but it's like, dog, like, you know what I mean? Like you couldn't not think that he wasn't gonna go after that.
And so as like what Chris Rock did is genius. Like as an artist, if something that like globally noticed happens to you, you'd be an idiot not to make a special about it.
But, like, and you know, he's like, yeah, you know, it hurt, and like, because Will Smith like talked about it, and he goes, "What did you think about Chris Rock's special?" And he goes, "You know, it hurt my feelings." It's like, well, you smacked him, like, you know what I mean? You smacked him in the public, on a like a actual global scale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
In front of everyone who matters in that scene, in that little environment.
Right. And you know what was interesting about that too, bro? It's like people were like mad at Chris Rock for like not fighting back. I'm like, bro, like,
What'd you want him to
look
do?
at the size of Chris Rock. Like, bro, Will Smith played Muhammad Ali.
Right. He's a tall
Chris
guy.
Rock is not he's not he made that joke. He's not making, he's like, they're not picking me for Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be the guy. And like, he was a mountain. And I bet you he didn't know at the time. And I don't know, man. It was wild.
Right, and you're the host. You're supposed to like be in control
Right.
of like the how how everything's going. You know, you don't want to like make it worse.
Right.
Because I think how he handled it was probably like the best thing you can do.
Who, Chris?
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what are you gonna do? Fucking smack him back?
You got to host a
security
show.
back?
Like, you got to still host it. That was in the
Right.
beginning, too, wasn't it? Like,
Was it?
I thought that was like in the beginning of the Oscars.
Yeah, something like that. But
It's crazy because, you know what, dude, to be quite honest, too, I felt bad for Will, too, because I honestly just thought it was a moment of weakness.
Yes.
It was like one of those things where, okay, yeah, you're upset what he said about your wife.
yeah,
I don't think it was right then and there you should handle it.
yeah.
It's like, you know, first of all, you're both A-list actors and celebrities. And it's like, I feel like you could definitely have handled that in a better situation. Personally, like, I wouldn't have never handled something like that. I want to go smack somebody in the mouth, like, at a public event.
Yeah, that's some like high school behavior.
It kind of is, right?
Yeah.
It kind of is. And it was interesting.
I understand like having moments of weakness for
Yeah.
sure. Like, I'm not the best all the time.
Right,
Sometimes
right.
There's cracks in my character, but I feel like to walk up, like maybe if he was standing right in front of you and you just, you know, got up and smacked him, but he had to walk up. He had all
Good
that
distance.
time to ponder.
He was walking, or he was talking. Like,
Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
was talking. He was like, "Oh, look at it, was coming up," and fucking boom. And I'm like, "Whoa, fuck!" It's not the way to handle
Wasn't
that.
that like a year ago already?
It's been like almost a year now, right?
That feels like it was yesterday.
It does.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see how shit out that goes, and then it's just like Chris is like, "I'm gonna put up the best stand-up special of my career," and it's definitely, I'm gonna mention this in it. And he slammed the mic down after too. He was done. Boom, slammed it down. It was actually a good. It was a good fucking special, man. But I don't know. But even like the cancel culture thing, yeah, it's like it's getting interesting. You know, people are resorting to different things now too, right? Like, people are resorting to doing their own websites, or they have to move to different platforms.
Well, you know, I feel like anytime there are like ideologies that part people, separate them, you know, and as soon as you start putting yourself in special groups, I am this and I am this because of that, and it's different than you, you know, that might be beautiful for the individual, right, at the time, but like what you're doing is you're causing separation, you know, and like we see that now. It's like even in these isolated like groups, there's like, oh, now these people are offending these people. This subgroup, whatever of people is offending this type of people.
Yeah.
And it's just like madness, man.
I don't want to play in devil's advocate. Do you feel like cancel culture, like silencing people on the internet, is a necessary evil?
Well, I feel like we see this swing back and forth between the political climate being extremely left and right. And there's no way where it ever just stays in the middle.
Nope.
There's this constant battle of ideologies, and you need to have both. You see people who go one way too much, and they're fucking crazy.
They're fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, so there has to, and it's a collective thing, and it has to be that way, because just like the individual is never sedentary, there's always things happening, always change happening in someone. That's how it is on the large scale, right? What's the saying? So above,
So below.
yeah.
As above, so below.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing in the individual. When there's that kind of battling between your own thoughts and ideologies, it's the same way in the mass, like, consciousness, the collective consciousness. So I feel like what's happening is definitely necessary.
It
and
is.
it's happened before our time, you know, where there was like a huge fight to, you know, the left. And then the right was like, yo, calm down. And then the right took charge. And then people like, yo, the right needs to chill out. So we're seeing right now, I think maybe the deterioration a little bit of the left, just temporarily, because eventually it's gonna need to be there. I think there's been huge jumps in social justice, and all of these things that really matter and needed to happen. But now we're there, and now we need to take a few steps back.
Yeah.
Right? And
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah,
but I just had a thought. Do you think democracy is just a sped up version of human government, sort of? Because for a long time it was like kings and queens,
yeah.
and then they were overthrown by like a People's Party of France or some shit.
Yes.
And then a new leader was installed, and then eventually it went back to kings and queens, and it's this vicious cycle. And now it's like democracy is kind of like you vote for one or two sides because it always evolves almost into the same thing.
Right.
But you get it fresh.
That's human nature, bro. It's
Yeah.
like it's from when we came down from the trees. It's the same thing. Like, who's the alpha?
Mm-hmm.
Someone's fighting for that spot all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's what we see in the government. Like, sure, it's a little more in our mind, in the average person's mind. It's like, oh, it's this group of people who are elected by these group of people. At the end of the day, it's like, who's the king monkey? Like,
Yeah.
who's going on the top? Who's going to be the leader? And what ideas do they express? And do I align with those ideas?
Right.
So, I feel like what we're seeing that's kind of messy right now is the whole, like, how the governments are getting involved with a lot of like the social issues, and they're using that as a way to push ideas that don't even have to do with the social issues.
No.
It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna push this so I get reelected. What the fuck? That's just crooked in my mind, but that's just an extension of how we were talking earlier, just how crooked our the whole system is from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, I think even most people, like what you were saying about like how there's an extreme left and extreme right. I honest to God think, and this is my personal opinion, like you do have those people, right? Like there's a percentage of those people who really do follow like their political views very fully.
Yes.
But I think actually most people realistically like don't give a fuck, right? Like I don't think anybody in here really cares what someone else is doing, like with their life, as long as it's not directly affecting you in any way, right? And I think that's most people. I just think it's pushed so fucking hard on social media that you think everyone cares because no one cares. Like you think someone actually genuinely cares what somebody else is doing, like
not on the individual level.
No,
generally not on the individual level. But when you start thinking in groups of people, it's hard to communicate fully your thoughts and express them in a big group of people.
Right.
So people take the core ideas. So the reason why there's this polarization in our political climate is because people like you can't just have like moderate views. It's like if you're going to support your group, you're going to see that one person who's expressing fully like in the most heavy way or the most intense way their beliefs. And that's what we see on social media. We see the polarization, the exact opposites. Like oftentimes I look at these issues and I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the center. Yeah, like who? But it's almost a crime to be in the center.
You can't. You have to. They want you to pick a side, but it's like, bro, like I don't have a problem with anybody. Like I really don't. Like I have no hatred towards anybody. Yeah. So like it's like the fact that they're like, oh well, what do you think? Like I don't have to have a specific thing for this issue. Like it's like, bro, I take everybody as like, you treat me with respect, I treat you with respect. Right. We're good people. I treat you with respect. Treat me with respect. Good people. Same thing. I treat you like shit. No, I'm
saying. I was gonna say, yeah, sure, but
yeah.
All right.
But
okay.
No, you know what I mean though. Like that's how most people are. I think really most people, truthfully, I think most people, first of all, you work. Everyone works, right? So you don't have time to really like worry about what the fuck's going on all the time in the news. It's just something you talk about probably at work or with like whoever you're with, right? But then it's just also like, bro, I'm just trying to chill with like so-and-so. I don't want to deal with all that. Like, me and so-and-so aren't going to be tackling the hard issues. Like, right then and there while we're just
start a podcast.
Yeah. And then we started a podcast because we wanted to tackle the hard issues. Now now we were forced to talk about them. But you know what I mean? I think that's how most people are. I really think that though. People don't care. Like, I don't think people care about like a percentage of people, obviously. Like people, it doesn't matter. Like the racism thing, that was always weird to me, even when I was a kid, because I'm like, bro, one day you were just like 4 and like gained consciousness and you were like, this is me. Like I'm fucking who I am. Yeah. So it's like, it never made sense to me like to hate somebody because of like what part of this rock they were from. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I like the one thing what we said one time too is when you zoom out, there's no borders. Like when you look at our planet, like I have it on my fucking phone, dog. Where's my phone? In my pocket. No, it's not. I lost it. I don't know where it's at. It's somewhere. But the globe, that's like my background. It's just the globe. It's just the globe.
You think you're in Canada right now? Zoom the fuck out, bro. This is just a rock.
You're just in a rock. And like to hate somebody for like their religious beliefs or like where they come from or like anything of that matter. Yeah. It makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, like people are so prideful, but I bet if you took the map and flipped it upside down, you'd probably not even know what the fuck you're looking at.
Yeah.
Like if you looked at Windsor and the whole like area, flipped it upside down and zoomed out, It actually happened the other day. I was looking at a map, but it was upside down from the way I'm used to looking at it. I had no sweet idea what I was looking at. Not at all.
The fuck are you looking at a map for, dog? We got Google.
I'm pretty sure it was on the phone.
That's funny. But yeah, man, that's how I just think most people think. I don't think really a lot of people have a big problem. It's just like it's so amplified. Like it's amplified by like certain people.
Why do you think that is? Why is it amplified?
Because it's something that why I think
Yeah, why do you think?
it's like I think it's just something for people to talk about, and it's just another way of people pushing their way. Like, you know, if you want to say like if you start looking at what's a good example? Like, let's say I started following like Ron DeSantis. How quick am I getting Republican like right wing views stuff? How quick would you think? It's probably almost immediate. Almost immediate, right?
Yeah.
So it's.
I think what the purpose of it is actually to separate. I think it's.
What do you mean, like the
division,
whole?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's all like a game, you know. It's to get the attention of people, to get the voters. It's a business like anything else, and what they're selling is almost like a product, right? It's like, these are my beliefs, and this is and it's like we've seen with all the things happening to Twitter, how much like messiness there was in that.
A lot of messiness in Twitter.
And why was that? Well, it seems like, you know, for the benefit of one party, but past that, it was the benefit to, like, you know, suppress some information, but to also keep the information on one side, to favor one side.
Bro, didn't you find that wild that the FBI hit up Mark Zuckerberg, let him know ahead of time about like the Hunter Biden laptop? Like, they gave him the heads up. Like, listen, there's gonna be some shit. It's misinformation. And then it's not. Like, you know, there's a bunch of shit on there about like people were more, for some reason, people were more impressed with like, man, he was doing cocaine and prostitute. I'm like, they all are. They're politicians. What are you talking about? They're all doing it. Yeah. But it's
they
like,
don't have the balls to do it on a Skype call.
Yeah, dude. And it was just like, I also made the joke one time where I was like, it's funny that like you would take a drug and being like, I need to get this on a laptop. Like, I need to get this drug I'm taking on a laptop right now. Like, you know, I've never once been like, better get that in the Google Docs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've never once said that in my entire life. So it's just, I don't know. But there was like other shit where like they, him and his dad were like giving money or whatever to Ukraine before all this shit. Like, they were already feeding them a bunch of shit.
Oh man, I saw this war happening long
before, yeah.
I mean, it's been going on for almost 10 years.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know, wasn't officially Russia, but it was just Russian separatists for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very I don't know. That's even also interesting too. Where like that's still going on, and then what did we search up the other day? Where it was like a Ukrainian group, like a
So this group within Ukraine who were pro-Ukrainian Russians, they invaded a Russian province. And then Ukraine was like, we didn't do, that's not us.
Yeah, they had to call that.
They have our shit, but that's not us.
Right. Yeah, that's how it works. It's just, see, I feel like what people don't realize about this war is it's just going to go on and on and on. And the reason why it goes on and on and on is because there's corporations backing it and profiting from the war. And, like, nobody wants to get fucking nuked.
Nope.
Because that's not going to happen.
It's just the new sandbox. It's just, it's scarier because it's closer to the other side. But it's just, I feel it's the next proxy war. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, they got to keep people fearful somehow. It's COVID for a while, and now nobody gives a fuck. It's like, oh, you caught COVID? Nah, shit, I hope I don't get it.
Yeah.
Damn.
It is, bro. Do you remember that shit in the beginning? Someone would cough, be like, ugh, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, yo, get away from
you
me,
coughing
man.
or something,
You
dog?
piece of shit.
And it's like, bro, I was coughing just from fucking smoking pot over the years. I'm not fucking, you know, I'm like hacking up something. They're like, holy shit, that guy got the worst strand of COVID over there. Fuck, keep him away from me. Yeah, that was interesting though back then.
Yeah, how do you feel about the BA+7 variant?
Fuck, I didn't even know there's another one.
Oh, I'm just
Oh yeah, I thought you were being dead ass serious. I was like, maybe there is, man. He may be up
numbers now.
I'm
Fuck.
like, damn, he may be up to date with it. Shit, dude.
Oh, shit.
They should have called him cooler, like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They were kind of cool names. You know?
I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it is funny to see that, like, where it's like it's not a big deal, and then like, you know, you had to get like, I don't know, whatever the fuck it was, like 7 shots, and then you get free fries or something.
I never got a single one.
I haven't got one either.
Yeah.
But it was like
Same with her.
nice.
Yeah.
But it was like, have you ever seen? Who was I showing that to? I was showing it to somebody, but have you ever seen that? I think it's the mayor of New York. I may be fucking that up. Mayor of New York or New Jersey. And he goes, the way they were convincing people was like, we'll give you free shit, essentially. So it's like, if you get your shot, you can get a donut at Krispy Kreme. Like, but this guy was like pitching fries. Like, he was pitching fries. I'm not even. Do you remember that video I was showing you? Can you find that video, Rain, real fast? That mayor.
You get a medium fry from McDonald's if you get your first shot.
Yeah. I think it was the mayor of New York. I don't remember. I'm not 100%. But I honestly, I want you to see the video because it's actually fucking hilarious, dude. It's so funny because it's like, get the shot and you get these tasty fries.
Do you guys mind if I ask why you decided not to? Was it just like a principle of the thing, or like?
Well, I saw the people dying in the streets in China, and that was my first huge red flag. I'm like, okay, so like I did a lot of research, but just at the beginning because I was fearful, like I think everybody was, and people were just like dying on the streets, and I'm like, okay, if this was that serious,
I feel like we'd see signs more prevalent.
Yeah, I thought initially, I'm like, oh fuck, like the government's got to be putting people at the border with guns right away. Like no one's getting off the planes and people are dying in the streets. My first thought was like, oh, they're going to take direct military action. Nope, motherfuckers were still flying back in the planes, even when they knew about it all the way in January. People were still.
I think it was before that.
Before that, December, whatever, and people were still, coming off the planes, going back home, and it wasn't until much later we're like, yo, we can't have people shoulder to shoulder in planes anymore, It took forever, but like, that was my initial red flag, and I felt like the fact that there was all this information about why you should take it, instead of like an equal kind of being like, okay, yeah, this is untested medicine, and just like any other thing in that has to be approved by the FDA generally has to go through a lot of different kind of testing. Yeah, there's no testing on pregnant people, no testing on any of that. So for me, it was just like, okay, I already have like immune system problems. Like I feel like if someone to get fucked up from this thing, it'd probably be me. I'd rather take my chances, and I'm like technically high risk. Like I was diagnosed as a kid with asthma, so like I didn't want to get it, of course, but I took the chance, and I feel like I built up the antibodies afterwards, and I feel great now. Yeah, it sucked for a while. I'm not gonna lie. It was probably one of the worst things I ever experienced catching COVID. Yeah, especially afterwards, the congestion. Yeah, you experienced some of that too, right?
Long COVID?
Yes.
Yeah, it's never ending. It almost feels like you always got something going on in your chest that you want to throw up.
Oh. Yeah. What about your reasoning? Same thing as his?
I didn't think about, just the political environment at that time, but I was looking at just the fact that regularly, if you're going to create a vaccine, it needs to go through many, many years of research and many, many years of testing before it goes out into the common people where they can take it. But with the COVID vaccine, it just suspiciously happened too quickly. You have to go through certain processes. And these are just pharmaceutical companies. They're not like, any special team or anything like that. They're the same companies making any other vaccine that there is out before. But this one, it was just too quick. And I couldn't stomach the fact that it came out so quickly in what was it, 8 months? 8 months from when they put us all in lockdown. And that was something that put out a red flag for me.
So even the official narrative it was like, well, we've had something in the works for a while because we knew a variant like this could one day go out there. So they said we put it through trials before, but we speed run the process of usually we wait years for side effects because all of our testing beforehand, before we fine tuned it to this strain, showing that it was safe for human use. That was the official narrative, that it had been tested before, but it was speed ran through the FDA approval so it could go out to the public. That at no point gave you any kind of self-assurance? No?
I never felt the... I just I feel like me, especially my life has been affected by the whole opiate epidemic thing. I've lost family to it. So I looked at these companies. I'm like, oh, not just that, not just what I said initially was the hesitancy. It was also like emotionally charged decision. Like, oh, these are the same companies that have already caused a pandemic of their own design. Then after they knew they were paying doctors off, they knew it, and then they're like, yeah, you know what? We've actually been in the lab making a less addictive version of this that doesn't draw people dead on the streets. So let's release it, methadone, right? And then not long after, like, well, we're gonna make something better than this, and then they have Suboxone, and so then you're caught for life. They make a client, they make a customer, and then they keep them. They keep them chemically. They're chemically chemically castrated, And I'm like, oh, we're gonna trust these companies that have no morals, and they have the most fines of any sort of like.
That's what I was gonna say too. Yeah,
they're just crooked. I don't see like how anyone was like, yeah, you know what? I love Pfizer. It's fantastic.
Before this, wouldn't have trusted them with anything, but now.
Yeah,
the rest of my life
right?
in your hands, bud.
And you know what? Because I love Joe Biden, bro.
Biden wouldn't lie to me.
Biden wouldn't lie to me.
Biden
Biden got the shot on TV. We know he's not lying about that shit.
Hold up. Do you guys remember when Doug Ford got it?
Yeah.
He got this and pretended to die on it. Well, you can't do that on the national news, dude.
Doug Ford is fucking around.
That shit was hilarious.
But it's like, you brought that up, like, about people not. That's why, like, when people were saying, oh, you're not going to take the vaccine from, like, it's like, listen, I've told everyone, like, you should do what you want. Like, you make that decision. Like, that shouldn't be, like, based on any, like, you shouldn't go look to so-and-so and be like, yo, should I get it? Like, I'm not going to, like, one of my best boys and being like, what do you think, man?
Right,
because
it should be your decision.
It should be your decision. And, like, the way I looked at it personally is like, okay, I got the information where it was like, it's a, whatever it was, a 98.7 survival rate. They said, like, usually people in their young 20s are fine, and I was pretty healthy. I work out and shit, and I take all my vitamins. Like, I made the choice of being like, I don't think I need it, and then I got COVID, kicked it twice, both in a day. Like, it wasn't as bad as obviously what you guys probably experienced, but I was, I brushed through it. And I'm not saying obviously maybe I just got a lower dose or whatever the fuck, right? But what didn't make sense to me is people like, I don't know how the fuck you guys don't trust the vaccine. Like, they wouldn't do that. And it's like, bro, like you said, literally the people with the biggest fines caused the fucking opioid crisis.
That probably kills more people yearly than the actual COVID itself.
Bro, you can't figure it out why they don't trust them. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's like, bro, we searched up Pfizer. Pfizer had like one of the biggest lawsuits in like 2010 or something like that. 2009, I think it was. $2.8 billion lawsuit. Yeah. And that's probably fuck all of them from what they made, right?
Literally like, oh, wow, this is just fucking $2.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Hey, this will go away. There you go.
Yeah, right. So they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care, man. When you so it's like before, what controlled people was the church, and how they did that. And this is skipped out on a lot. Is that when you went to church, guess what you were drinking? Wine. And so if you were in like an average person back in the day, especially during like the whole medieval period, and even after that, during like colonization, you were drinking wine. Yeah. You went to church on that Sunday, and you were taking home a bottle of wine, and you were drinking during church. It was an event. People were singing, dancing. There was scripture, and they kept people controlled via medication, right? So it was all called before. And now things are a little more complex. We are a little more complex. We have access to more information. So now people are like, now there's other drugs to be addicted to. There's your SSRIs. There's the whatever it may be.
Because it all makes profit.
Yeah.
Right? Because all that other shit doesn't make profit for them. That's like the most interesting thing. That's what's interesting to me. And it's like, I'm not fucking saying like, I'm not thankful of like, we made some great, I like ibuprofen when I have a headache, that's pretty dope.
So, but aspirin's fantastic.
Yeah. Like I'm not, and there's like other
Listen, they did some good shit.
They did some good shit.
It's just all the evil stuff they consistently do.
Yeah. Right, and it's like, we kind of just fucking around.
And asthma inhalers are fantastic, bro.
A blessing.
Yeah, a blessing.
A blessing, yeah.
Insulin shouldn't cost that much in the States. This is all I'm just saying.
Yeah, like even that, yeah.
Yeah, what do they like? Inflate the price by like 3,000% or something like that.
Fuck.
Who was that guy? It's Mark Cuban, I think.
Yeah.
And he started his own business and sold them for retail price. He goes, bro, these things are like $16. Why are you paying $500 for this thing?
Oh, I saw that. He
Yeah.
offers that for like in America, right?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna need that in Canada soon. Like,
Why-
If you ever have to, so like as an artist, like as a tattoo artist, like you don't get like health benefits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you generally pay out of pocket. It's crazy how much some medications cost.
It's
Yeah.
just, I don't understand the want for privatized healthcare. You know what I mean? It's just,
I think a little bit of it comes from people waiting too long on the medical system and then like dying.
and the solution is for you to pay out of your pocket all the time over a long period of time, and then hope that it covers it all.
Yeah, that's what you can hope for. See, I don't know what the answer to it is. That's one thing. It's like, well, if you've ever been in a little cyclone with the Canadian healthcare system, sure, it's nice, especially if you like need antibiotics or whatever. You're sick, you go in, you can see a walk-in clinic. But if you have like chronic illness of any type, that's not what our healthcare system's built for.
No.
You see many people, especially in Windsor, when they struggle and they suffer with something, whatever it be, like, they'll go to the States. And if they're going to the States, there's a reason behind it. Because when there's a little bit of money in somebody's pocket, they'll work harder for your health. And like you see that even now, it's like in Windsor, you see so many people wanting to be nurses. Why are there no fucking nurses? What's going on? Why are all the nurses going to the States?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think the answer is for private healthcare corporations to take over the system. Because even more people are going to get abused by that.
It gets messy.
It gets messy fast because more money is more mess. More results, but way more mess.
Yeah, you gotta have something in between. It's like, with jobs, like you can be like, okay, I wanna put this to my benefits every month or whatever. You get the different packages. Maybe that's some sort of option where it's like, if you work, you can give a little extra, right? And it's given to the government to fund that extra amount for, I don't know. See, it's so hard to separate it.
I feel like it's full circle. Well, first of all, we have that problem in the healthcare system because there aren't specialists. These people aren't here because they're going to the States. They're making more money there. They don't have ceilings for what they're making every year. So they rather go there. If they're putting in that much time and that much money into their own education, they might as well go to the States and make more money there. So I think it's more like we need to have something in the middle, which is kind of half private and half public, sort of a healthcare system where there's still incentive for specialists and doctors to stay in the country and actually serve the people in that country. And it's kind of like you have to close the loop in a way. You can't just look at one aspect of it and expect that doctors are still going to continue to stay here. They need something. They want something out of it too. I don't think every doctor out there is doing it to help people. They're also doing it because they make a lot of money.
Right, that's true. I don't know. That's a tough one, right? Because you do definitely the wait times have to fucking improve because it's ridiculous.
Man. It's like if you've ever had to wait for a specialist, it's like, think about the people who they see like a mark on their body and it's like whatever, like it could be some sort of growth. Yeah. And it's like in here, in 6 months, like a growth can become deadly. Right. But if you would have caught it in the first couple weeks, maybe not so much, get the problem where it starts at the roots. But like you were saying, Rose, it's hard to find, like, how do you close that loop of like, okay, how do we keep our most seniored professionals here? How do we do that with a free healthcare system? So I don't feel like that answer's in this room.
Probably
definitely not. We're not going to be.
We can take a couple jabs at it.
Listen, we can figure it out if we put.
I just need to put more of the tax dollars into the healthcare system.
All I need is another joint.
And we figured it out.
That's it, man.
You know what I've always I thought was interesting, and I brought it up on the podcast not that long ago. So you guys know that Mr. Beast guy?
Yes. Yeah.
So what I thought was interesting is he cured 1,000 people's blindness. I don't know if you guys heard about that. So he recently cured 1,000 people's blindness, and we ended up it was just a Monday meetup. It was just me and him, and we ended up doing research into it. So I don't know, did you guys know 90% of blindness is curable?
I didn't know that.
By a
literally 90% of blindness is completely curable.
And it's through a 10-minute procedure, And the only reason like a lot of people can't do it is because they don't have the money to do it. And it was like we read like it was like 700 something million people are blind, but 90% of those people are curable blindness. And it's like, how the fuck does this random motherfucker named Mr. Beast, he's 24 years old, he starts his own YouTube channel, works it from the ground up, builds his money, and then fucking ends up helping 1,000 people cure their blindness. It's like, bro, that guy did it. It's like, we will not even fund a program to help people see, to fucking see, for a 10-minute procedure.
It's like $2,000, by the way. That's it.
It's like $2,000.
It's like $2,000.
Well, I mean, most people are living paycheck to paycheck, so $2,000 is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for like the entire government, you mean the entire government can't scrape together $2,000 for how? What's 90% of 700 million?
I don't know. What's 90? Can you just do some quick math on the phone? 700 million? Yeah. But like, that's wild to me. And then when I heard that, and we ended up doing research, because like people were fucking like shitting on the guy. Sorry, what did you say?
630 million?
You could fucking help 630
That's not
Buddy, the American government, the Canadian government, had pot sales last year.
Yeah.
Like way more
They
than
made
that.
fucking so much money.
Just a couple years ago, when they were still doing the yearly $100 license or plate renewals, the Ontario government was making just shy of $1 billion. Every single year. Yeah.
No wonder they weren't going to stop that. I'm glad they did.
Yeah, well, that's one of the best things I've seen our Ontario government do in the last.
Saving us $100 a year. God bless.
I mean, that's the things the normal voter thinks about, I think, right? It's like, for me, that's always like, or was before, I was like, wow, that's an unexpected little expense.
They did
I
that
have
for
to
the little
make.
guy, man.
Well, yeah,
That's
so
like the one thing.
that's nice to see when the government does that. As much as I'm anti-government, I will admit when they do some good things, you know.
Yeah, you got to give credit, real recognize real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're like, they don't need to show up to do it. You can just renew it online.
Yeah.
And it could have been that way the whole time. Apparently, we're like one of the only provinces doing that.
Oh,
Like, there's-
seriously?
Yeah, and the
Going
other
and
province-
have sometimes I have to book like literally days off work so I could go to like a Service Ontario, because the cool thing about a government building, what I always thought, it's cool that they're open from like 9 to 2.
Yeah.
I've always been like, that's the prime hours that you should be open for sure, because I'm
Definitely.
at like, everyone else is at work.
Should be the one thing that's always open on the weekends.
It should be the one thing that's open, like, I think constantly,
It should
realistically.
be 24/7.
Realistically, if I have to go renew something, I should be able to walk in there, fucking boom, do it, and I'm out.
If it's a legal requirement, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and they should make it more streamlined. Holy shit! You ever go to a Service Ontario and it's like, oh yeah,
Boy, why is it this busy on a Thursday?
yeah, like 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna be here till 1. Fantastic. What, to get my license renewed?
Hi,
Yeah.
can I buy this $5 piece of plastic? All right, thanks.
Yeah.
It's wild because like you stand there and no one else wants to be there. Like everyone's there early as fuck. Bro, I remember one time they opened at I think they opened at like 9 o'clock. I got there for 7:50.
Oh yeah.
Holy fuck. Dude, the line was huge. Like people brought chairs. People were bringing chairs and shit. Because even like I guess recently too with the passports, right? Like people are having a hard time getting passports recently. Yeah. So I think that's pretty wild too. Where like people are just like, park a chair. We're gonna sit here for a bit.
It's like an event, man. Everyone's getting ready.
Well, I felt bad too because like there's a lot of older people there with like canes and shit. So like their knees obviously start hurting them and shit. And it's like fuck, dude. Like that is not the way to do it. Especially like. But why are you coming in at like? I guess like most jobs are like 9 to 5 or whatever. But that's what like they're working like 9 to 3.
Yeah.
And it's like fuck.
We should get government jobs. I don't know what we're doing.
I don't know what we're doing. Like literally, I don't know what we're doing.
I'm sure the benefits are fantastic.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
I know some guys that work for the city, like just doing like maintenance.
Chilling.
Oh, they're fucking living the dream.
Yeah.
I see them getting coffee like 3 times a week.
Dude, I think that's their whole job is getting coffee. Fucking
They mostly hang out at the beach. I'll be honest, they go to the beach a lot.
Yeah. But that would be the job to get, right? It's like a city fucking job. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, even like the more like strenuous jobs that you'd be doing for the city, I'm sure are great.
Yeah.
You know, like picking up trash and stuff.
Mhm.
Filling
Sure that's-
potholes.
Right, I'm sure that pays fantastic.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Probably have to work, but it's like, bro, you fucking, I'll do that shit.
You're set. You
Drive
put
me in the
your
truck
time.
around?
Yeah.
Fucking bring me around. You know what I mean? What are we doing? Filling some holes? Let's fucking
Yeah.
the fucking asphalt. Let's get going here.
All right, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
As a construction worker, okay, I don't know if this is the kind of construction you deal with, but so I've noticed in this city the roads are always terrible, and it seems
Yes.
like they keep them terrible so they can keep a contract going.
Well,
Didn't I
that's
tell you
true.
this before? When
I
you were-
won't deny that. It sure seems that way.
Seems a little fishy.
Because like I worked on the Ambassador Bridge. I poured the road for the Ambassador Bridge.
Okay.
Like the whole thing from the
Yeah.
Canadian side up to the middle.
Oh, when that was like redone.
Yeah, like last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then so they want that thing to last 75 years. They do not want to replace that road for 75 fucking years. And the design specs, they say it'll last 75 years without really any holes in it. Because it's not asphalt. It's just concrete.
Yeah.
It's like I think I said this to you the one time. I feel like it was you when you were on. But these contracts that they get, why roads are always so bad, where it's like, bro, didn't they just fix this bitch up like 5-6 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's because they get told if they're done the job by a certain time, they get extra bonuses. So if you're done, like let's say 2 months early, fuck, well here's an extra 20.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you fuck 20 grand. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
But then it doesn't matter because they're gonna get that job when that road's fucked up in like 7 years anyways.
Right. They have a lockdown on the market.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys don't want to go to use the washroom.
Oh, go.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
use the bathroom, bro.
Like,
like,
I'm just
yeah.
Italian. Okay?
Yeah, I'm just
Like,
Italian, man. This is what we do. That was like the bare minimum. Dude, I was having pasta like 4 times a week.
Oh.
And pasta's like super high in calories, like super fucking
Yeah,
high.
it's really dense.
Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, I don't know how I got to 300, man. That's
Oh
weird.
man. Well.
But yeah, that's probably definitely an eating disorder. Like if I couldn't stop, yeah, that was
Yeah,
probably.
Bro, for a while I was convinced that I had stomach worms.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Yeah, well,
Hey, good work.
That's
Yeah, it's like, you know, how some people are like, both my parents skinny still, and they're in like their 40s, right?
yeah.
And they both have metabolisms like that.
Fuck.
Yeah. Some people are just blessed. Like
Some
that, I
people
guess.
can, dude. Like it's actually impressive that you're saying like you're getting to around like 3,000. Like 3,000 is a lot. Like that's a lot of
Yes.
food, dude.
Yeah. Sometimes when we go, I'll get 2 main courses.
Whoa, damn, you eating good, my boy. Shit.
Damn, bro.
Do you eat during the day?
Yeah, cheese on the inner. What kind of fasting do you do? The whole
Intermittent fasting?
Yes.
What, 16 hours?
Yes. 16.
I tried that for a bit. I liked it. I didn't
Yeah?
mind it. Do you like it?
Yes, I do actually. And I think it works better with my work schedule too and things I want to do in the day. I think that's much easier. For me, I'm the kind of person who can't eat too much. Like at once, I can't eat too much. So I'd been breaking up how I ate, and I ate like fewer amounts of foods like throughout the whole day. But with the intermittent fasting, I'll bulk up in 1 meal or 2 meals, especially like breakfast or dinner. But it'll be just enough that I need to eat at that time. And I feel like we're constantly trying to eat more. And there's this saying, I don't know who said this, but it was before we used to eat to survive, now we're surviving to eat. And it was important because I think a lot of our problems that we have, health problems, is because of how we're eating. We're probably eating a little too much, because when you intermittent fast, it's good for your body. It allows your body to not only burn fats, but it's sort of like kind of resetting.
Give it a
everything.
break.
Yeah.
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 I read up a lot on that because that was very interesting when I was losing my weight. I wanted to like learn all of it, and I thought that was the most interesting one because you're probably right. Like that quote you just said, that we eat to survive or whatever, or something like that. That's so right, because it's like, where you got to think like back in the day. Think about it, you take down that buffalo, right? You fucking bitches down, right? You go and you're eating like just raw meat, right? Technically, you just cut it up, eat it raw, and your jaw would get tired before you would even get full. Like your jaw, if you keep chewing, like your jaw would get tired. But now it's like we learn how to soften up foods, and it's like, fuck, dude, like ice cream, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, how are you supposed to fucking turn that shit down, man? But even what you said, I think the best thing that you said out of all that was the foods that we eat definitely have health problems now. Like we didn't have health issues like 100 years ago or whatever to now, like from all the foods. Like we would be naive to think like the stuff that like we're putting like steroids in these cows and shit and all that, to think like it wouldn't affect us. I say it constantly on here. Like we would be naive to think that does not affect you in any way. Like, bro, there's like plastic in us. Like you hear about that shit. Like there's like microplastics and shit like that. Like, bro, that shit fucking terrifies me.
Your Honor, the microplastics in my brain made me do it.
Oh, dude, like fuck that made like I don't know, man. It's just like that worries me. And then like just people's like issues. Like people have a lot of stomach issues now and stuff like that. Like that gets worrying, bro. And like, you know, not saying like you can't enjoy shit. Like obviously people are gonna enjoy shit, right? You're entitled. There's like people like Five Guys. People are gonna go eat at Five Guys, but it's like you can have you learn how to compensate with things. And I think like even he was saying like you're trying to be on the grass fed stuff, and like that's like honestly perfect. Like that's it. How long you been doing that for?
Not too long, just a couple months. So what I noticed was my family lives in the Middle East. I grew up kind of half in India and then half in the Middle East, and I predominantly only ate goat and chicken. When I moved here to North America, they don't have goat here. There's only beef, and the beef here that's produced, it's just garbage.
Oh, it is. No, that's fair.
Garbage. So what I noticed was I went to the Middle East in December and about for a month, and I was not eating any beef. I was just eating goat. And I used to have a lot of skin problems. I had a whole bunch of acne all the time. And then for that whole month, my skin was so good there. As soon as I came back and started eating beef again, it went to shit. Yeah. And that was like a trigger for me to think about the meat I was eating. So we started to order from this one website online. I think it's called newcomer or something. They're
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah. So they're like antibiotic free and grass fed beef and all that stuff.
That's good. That's good. And it's actually interesting that, you going back home and finding that out and realizing back here, you're like, fucking, what the fuck are we eating? Like, this is kind of fucking bullshit. That's very interesting. That's an eye-opening thing, especially I think for us to even realize that, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't even realize their mood, like why they are the way they are is from definitely, bro, I've never felt like good if I'm killing a bunch of food. Like I don't want to do anything after, they're like food is fuel, but food is like I'm out, I'm not fucking doing shit. But like, it's very interesting. Like what's the biggest thing that you even got from that? You feel like you got to feel better. Like you got to feel astronomically better just from having like beef here and then transitioning to goat and cow or just grass-fed stuff.
I feel like the difference really is more holistic in a way. You just feel good in your body. You feel like you're actually getting nutrition from the food that you're eating, and it's not making you feel sick in some way or the other. Because there's so many times we'll feel sick about things and we'll be like, okay, well, just take a pill for a headache or a stomach ache, and we're not really trying to look at why it might be happening. And I feel like when you change your diet and you see all of these small irritating things that happen to you throughout the day or throughout the week or whatever it is, it'll slowly sort of fade away when you start eating better.
I wonder if this would be an interesting question. Why do you think a lot of people don't resort to that eating?
It's expensive to eat clean meat because it's not like a big market yet. So it's not that cost effective. Of course, to like raise chickens in an environment where they have the ability to roam freely, or like feeding cows, feed that's actually healthy for them. All of that costs money on the end of whoever's raising these animals. So it costs money also for the end person to go buy that. And I think a lot of people don't have that kind of money to go and buy. And I think it's also because it's not that accessible. Like the kind of meat that we're buying online, I got this from this online store, and there's fewer options if I go to a grocery store and want to buy similar things. Mainly there are options for chicken, not so much for like beef and other type of meat.
Right. That's interesting that you and him, like, you guys figured that out. Because I know, like, you were interested into, like, hunting and stuff and, like, getting game like that.
So I was gonna mention experience something similar to you when I went to Cuba. I heard this thing so many times that, the food in Cuba is shit. You're going to get food poisoning. So I experienced that. And then after I got sick, I felt great every single day, and I was eating like a savage there. Yeah. Just the buffet, every kind. And then when I came back here, so I had so much energy there. And when I came back here and I started eating the foods and the meats, I felt slower, and that was the same thing there, is because like they were raising the cows that they were butchering on grass, on the fields, and the chicken too. And you could see even the chicken especially is like, you can see the consistency of the meat in a chicken that's raised like naturally is different. Like there's this like the texture of chicken when it's like cooked or made in like a factory farm, everything's just the same consistency through the meat. but like, you know, you are what you eat. And imagine like what chickens are eating is essentially the ground up leftovers of their ancestors and like GMO corn.
Yeah.
And we think that's good.
Yeah, it's so weird though. It's so weird. Like, I mean, to be fair though, it was like it's shoved down your throat. Like, bro, think about when an ad comes up for like McDonald's. I'm like, oh
looks so good.
shit. That
Dude, there's a chicken Big Mac now.
yeah, isn't there?
Yeah.
Fuck, they just fuck around.
I swear to God, I had a dream about it not even a month ago, and then it was on a billboard. I was like, shut the fuck up.
But that is wild, man. It's like it's pushed so heavy because it does look good. And like, don't get me wrong, like sometimes I get a little fucking drunk, and you know, you're going out one night and you stop at who's there for you? McDonald's.
Yeah.
McDonald's is always there for you, right? And you know, you sneak in there real fast. You fucking, you know,
Or you yell from the trunk of my
or
car.
you yell, or I yell from the trunk of your car. It's one of the two. It's, you know, it's one of the. It's how it usually goes. It's literally only the way. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think you're definitely right about it's not accessible for a lot of people, and it is expensive to eat like that. But it's like, I don't know, because you've seen like things. I've heard someone on a podcast try to talk about how Lucky Charms are supposed to be better than ground beef, and I'm like, I guess you can make that argument to a point, but I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like it's mostly sugar and just fucking carbs. Like it's nothing. Not to mention, I also read this. You know, like fucking, it's like 5 grams of sugar will shut down your immune system for like 10 minutes, like which makes you more prevalent of getting sick. Like, I thought that was the most wild shit ever. Like, because it's kind of wild.
Yeah, and sugar is actually pretty hard to come by in nature. Same thing with like salt.
Yeah.
Things that we just consume too much of in our world.
Yeah.
A lot of salt, a lot of sugar. And I think sugar is probably even harder to find than salt in nature.
Probably 100%.
And what are you going to be eating? Like, I'm sure with like salt, you can at least find it in the ground.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. We're just so, like, especially Western culture now is like, you have all these things. Like, think about it. Like, when you guys are done here, you're going to go out to eat. Like, you have options. Like, you have so many options, right? Like, you do.
That's sick.
Like, realistically, you have so many options. So it's like, it's interesting to see that. But if you, like, you know, my family, like my Nona, she just cooks simple meals. Like, those are just like simple meals that you could eat real fast. Like, and it'd be like whatever. Like, your parents would always cook you up like random shit, like they like sausages that they'd make in the basement downstairs. Like, that's fast, like, you know, and you actually know where that's coming from because it's like they're buying the meat from like a farmer. They get the meat and then like, you know what I mean? And you're preparing that and you're eating that. Yeah. And you do like there's a different type. There's definitely a different feeling. 100% there's a different feeling of how you feel eating garbage and then like eating something like that. Like, you know, it's interesting how we fell into that where we're like, oh, but that burger, it's not even that, dude. It's just that burger is so fucking good.
There's just
too many. That burger is so fucking good.
There's no other way to feed this many people, Jake. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, there isn't. No,
that's
there
just
isn't.
how it's gonna come down to.
Yeah,
Well, that's the job of food scientists, right? Their little job is to research what tastes good and create a profile of flavors that people are wanting to buy over and over again. So they're putting a lot of money into making us buy that stuff.
what
Right.
they do with vapes, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm still talking about food.
Yeah, I get what you were saying though.
That is what they do with vapes
With
as
the-
well.
with vapes,
Yeah,
yeah.
with the food scientists, it's kind of like they make the chemical taste like food, right?
Right.
And then it somehow like blue, frosty vape.
Yeah.
Like how?
It's like the flavor is like, you know, it's just like, and some of the thing is, they've done such a good job at it where it tastes like the fuck. It tastes sometimes better. Some people are more addicted to like, you know, they don't like an actual like watermelon, but they love like watermelon flavored whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like, it's so interesting to see that. I don't know, man. I think about that shit often sometimes. Like, I'm just like, fuck, but I'll eat it still. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to still fuck around. I'm going to be out here balling.
Yeah, I was one of those guys that when I'd eat Lucky Charms, I'd just
Marshmallows?
take all the marshmallows.
Yeah. You know they make an only marshmallow one now?
Nice.
Imagine that when you were a kid, right in the morning, like fucking get right to fucking
Little
school.
marshmallows and
It'd be-
sugar.
It'd be the only thing I thought about all day.
Oh my.
It
it would be the only thing I'm looking forward to.
When I
entire
get home
time.
today, 2 full bowls.
Well, let's end off on something more positive.
Wait.
Oh shit.
I wanted to ask this question about an hour ago.
Okay.
When you say set intentions when you're about to do a cycle like a trip like that, what intentions are you thinking before you go in? Like, what intentions would you say you would set for yourself?
There's a term that's used for psychedelics. They're called non-specific amplifiers. What that means is essentially they'll amplify whatever it is that's already going on in yourself, things that you might be thinking about, worrying about, or like, wanting answers for in a way. So what I mean by intentions is go through what's in your mind and what you're looking to get guidance with in a way, or like, what you want to understand better, and set that as your intention that you want to learn more about that. Or like if I'm doing a mushroom trip with Tyler and I'm not really trying to get guidance in something, I'm just looking for an experience to be vulnerable emotionally with Tyler, or like I'm trying to just have a bonding experience, that I'm going to set an intention and say this is what I want from this trip, because it can be very all over the place.
Yeah.
So you
I
kind
can.
of like put it in a structure in a way, even though it's very difficult to control.
You guide it in quotation marks. You decide like this is what I'd like my mind to focus on for the next 5 hours.
What I would do is especially when tripping alone, it's easy to just kind of lose sense of everything. Time, yourself. And if I needed like a reminder, I'd put little notes around the room I'd be tripping in. Because usually I just keep the lights off. It's very easy to just like get stuck in one place, like not leaving the bed. At least for me, it's like if I got comfortable laying in my spot,
Not moving.
yeah, and not moving.
Not moving.
Yes, but if I did and I had to go to the washroom or something, that'd throw me off completely. So once I got back to the room, there'd be like little reminders like, hey, you're doing this because of this. Oh, and you're still high.
Shit.
That's pretty funny.
I always found
that,
it,
dude.
I always found like, no matter how hard you were tripping, if you had to go piss, it grounded you right back in reality.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh wait, I'm still an ape. Wait a second.
Sure.
Having to go fucking pee and
He was
whatnot.
like, wow, I'm still in this bitch.
It's so crazy. I always like when I use the washroom on psychedelics. It's like this weird disconnect. Like, oh, I am a flesh suit getting rid of waste.
Yeah, it feels
through
so
an
weird.
orifice in my body.
You feel the whole process.
Yes.
And that is not a process you want to experience all the time. You're glad that your mind censors that out.
Right? Yeah, in sobriety. Yeah.
So what I wanted to know.
Sorry.
No, it's good. All I actually wanted to know is I just wanted to know your two story, like how you guys met and shit like that. I never got a chance to even ask you or anything like that. No chance?
If
If you don't want to share, you don't have to share it.
I mean, we met through work. And
Where'd you work at the time?
What was the place called?
That's the travel insurance place.
Yeah,
Travel
Active Care
insurance.
Management.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of bonded pretty quickly, and I think we found we saw spirituality in one another first, and that was a pretty good place to bond from.
Mm-hmm.
And early on we shared these kind of like spaces where your full mind is on the table.
Mm-hmm.
You can't dance around it, right? And like I think that at the time, like that was just like us trying to like whatever, get crazy, explore drugs. But now I look back at it, and it was like a good space to figure out each other in a quick way. Like it broke down a lot of the boundaries that I think are there. And because of COVID, we were around each other a lot.
Yeah.
We're like a pandemic couple.
And do you think like maybe the more time you guys spend with each other, you realize that you learned that you enjoyed each other even more, like as who you are now.
Yeah,
and what like that's I was just so curious because every time you've been on, you talk very highly about Rozmeen. So like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just wanted to know like how you guys met. And I think like it's honestly it's beautiful. Like you feel the same way. What about his story? Is that story right? Is he bullshitting? Is he bullshit? Is he bullshitting over there?
Well, there's a little bit of sugar coating.
Oh yeah. Tyler's just sprinkling on that fucking sugar, dog. Holy shit.
No, when we met, we were just fuck buddies.
Go on.
She was straight. She was straight. She was straight with it.
Man. You might just have like a romanticized recollection of what it
He was
was.
trying to like be all cool about it. She was like, "We were fucking." I'm gonna go for it.
We were selling insurance and fucking on the side.
That's a fucking beautiful story.
I like yours because it's like the healthiest, unhealthy way to start a relationship.
Right.
I like yours because it's way easier. It's way easier to
Yeah.
understand.
And I think we actually bonded over spirituality, not through psychedelics, but we actually experienced something in sobriety, which was absolutely spiritual. And it was still to date very difficult to explain, but it was just us sitting together and hugging each other. And we had a moment of telepathy in that time, which was like almost like there's butterflies in the air. And I know you can see them and I can see them too. And we didn't say anything to each other, but when that moment passed, we looked at each other and it was like, you experienced that same thing, right? That I experienced. And he knew exactly what it was that I was talking about. And I was like, I have never experienced that with anybody. Like, it is so unreal. You can't describe it in words. It doesn't really happen just with anybody. And that was the moment where stopped being fuck buddies and we're like, okay, there's something more to this, you know.
God, that's
You
fucking
don't-
sick. Holy shit, that's badass. That's awesome.
That is. That
That's
actually
fucking awesome. Are you kidding me? That's shit out of movies.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was kind of thinking. So, you know, the whole movie cliche of like love at first sight. It wasn't necessarily that, but it was definitely like we can boil it down to like a singular moment. We're like, oh, this is something. What's going on here?
Wait
I
a
remember, I remember asking him after a little while, I was like, did you dose my water with that?
She's like,
Yeah, you
"Oh,"
were
she
spiking
goes,
on
I'm
him,
falling for
eh?
him too hard, eh? You're like, I'm falling for him a little too hard. Fuck, must be something in the water. But no, honestly, like, what's your favorite thing about her? What's your
Little on the spot,
What's your
go
favorite
ahead.
thing? Like, you're talking about spirituality, like you guys connecting. Like, what's your favorite thing? Like, as like just as her as a person.
Well, she's quick-witted. She's
She
sharp.
quick with it. Yeah, there we go. That was the best way you could have done that. I'm glad we're doing
I
this.
like that.
Oh.
I'm going to use that. I'm saving that for
Yeah,
me.
she quick with it. She
quick with it.
Oh, dude, that was fucking badass. Same thing. What's your favorite thing about him?
Tyler always wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah, he
and
does.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's something big to ask from most people. And I think it takes a lot of courage to do that, but that's also, in my eyes, his best feature.
Yeah, it is because I knew Tyler for a little bit before I started.
I'm crying. I'm crying over
It's
here.
not. No, it's honestly, it's nice just to see, like, because especially knowing Tyler through like years of like just seeing him here and there, and like to see how every time he's always been one of those guys that does wear his heart on his sleeve, and he's always like very like the one thing I've always said about Tyler, and I keep telling people that's why I'm always so excited to have him on, is that he's always been nice to me. He's always been fair. He's been nothing but a good time, and I think like what you guys have and him talking about you all the time, I honestly think that's always special. So I just wanted to hear, and I just wanted to hear from my for me. It was more for me. I know that probably fucking weirded you guys out of it, but it was
man.
more. It was more for me though.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it was nice to bring you here and for you guys to meet.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are cool dudes. And it's always
Right.
Thanks,
Yeah.
dude. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, we were hyped up.
Honestly, I was hyped up. I couldn't stop talking about it. I was like, oh shit, here we go.
When he said he'd ask you, we were like, fuck yeah, man. This is going to be sick.
Yeah, because even the first time we were like, oh, you like maybe she'd do it, and then after the second time we're like, I'm gonna ask her. Yeah. But honestly, guys, this has been wonderful. I think we're gonna wrap this shit up. I know you guys gotta eat. I gotta go drink. So yeah. Honestly, do you guys want to put a positive message out there before we wrap shit up? Got a positive message? Did you do one last time?
Oh, I definitely did.
Yeah, you definitely
You
did.
did, yeah.
You got a positive message out there that you want people to hear?
Nothing specific that comes to my mind, I'd say, but just to go back onto what we were talking about before, there's a lot of division between people. And I think we should just see each other for who we are without what their ideologies are. And that'll kind of keep people together and help us understand each other better.
That's a beautiful message. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get the fuck out of here. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, yeah.
Just received in our newsroom.
My ears.
Had a great time. Yeah, get the water. Yeah.